Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Wildlife Wednesday. If you guys haven't already been here before, sometimes I live stream on Wednesdays. I'm testing out something a little bit new today. We're trying to do a charity live stream actually. Hopefully the audio here is working okay. Maybe I'll just get a quick check. See if this is going here. All right. Hey, Floor. Seeing a few people joining in here. Okay, let's get started. So today we are going to be raising some money for Pacific Wildlife Care. So I've never done this before. This is a little bit new, but basically YouTube allows me to do a fundraiser on the platform. So I actually have it hooked up. So everything on the super chats, it says donate now at the bottom of the chat. Will actually go towards the total that I have on the right hand side of the screen there. So far, I have $3. That was myself throwing in some money to get people started. Maybe I'll add some money in too as we do the live here, but no pressure, of course. The intention too is to do a little bit of a Q&A and to answer some of your guys' questions. And I'm leaving the floor pretty open today to questions around my channel or wildlife, careers, and let's see how much money we can raise. And I also have a few videos that we can watch together if my system I have set up here works okay, where I can actually play some of the videos that Pacific Wildlife Care has on their website. You can learn a little bit more about the wildlife that they take care of. I thought that would be kind of fun. So if you have questions, you can leave them in the chat box and I will answer them. And maybe while we get started here and people start rolling in, I will play one of the videos that I have queued up for Pacific Wildlife Care. And let's see if this works. Let me put on my headphones. We have two options. We can learn about possums or peregrine falcons. So maybe I'll start with peregrine falcons and we can look at the possum video a little bit later. See if this works.
Hello, my name's Jerry, and I'm with Pacific Wildlife Care, and I do educational outreach. And this is one of our animal ambassadors. His name is Moro, and he is a male peregrine falcon. I'm going to talk a little bit about some general information, and then we'll talk about Mr. Moro directly. Peregrine falcons are medium-sized raptors with about a 3 to 4 foot wingspan and a weight of about 2 pounds. So they're not very heavy, even though they're very muscular. They have hollow bones, and then the rest of them, of course, are feathers. There's little difference between the males and the females with regard to their coloring. They look very, very similar. The females in raptors are always a little larger than the males, however. They nest on cliffs, in caves, and they make what's called a scrape, and it is literally they scratch the rock and they lay their eggs. They do not build nests. They usually lay 2 to 4 eggs, and they are very resourceful. If they can't find a bare rock or a cliff, you may have seen things where they will go to a high-rise building in New York, for instance, and make their nest on a balcony. They also are starting to nest under human-made bridges. Peregrine falcons feed almost exclusively on birds that they catch in the air in mid-flight. Oh, he's showing you his wings. Lovely. They are seen in spectacular dives. They are amazing at their flying. When they're flying normally, they range between 28 and 60 miles an hour. But when they're what's called a stoop, where they're diving from great heights to get their prey, they can reach speeds of over 225 miles an hour. They are the fastest animal on the planet, and they love speed. It's their favorite thing. They will catch everything from songbirds to herons to ducks. They have tremendous lift, and they can pick up a heron or a duck without any trouble whatsoever. So they also were almost extinct. In 1965, they were completely gone from the East Coast. That was because of our use of DDT. It did not necessarily kill them outright, but what happened is it thinned their eggshells. So when they would breed and the female would lay her eggs, she would go to brood them, hatch them, keep them warm. She'd sit on them and she'd crush them. The shells were so thin. So their population started plummeting, and that's when they were gone from the East Coast. There were still a mating pair here on the Central Coast on Morro Rock, and people came from all over to study these birds. They had good food, and they were not subject to as much DDT. We have stopped, thank you. We have stopped using DDT here in the States. However, it's still being used south, and they do migrate. So sometimes we still get peregrines in with DDT in their system. Here, though, on the Central Coast, why would they migrate? It's amazing here. So they usually do stick around, and I think that's part of why they can avoid any kind of contamination. They are found on every continent except Antarctica, and they generally keep the same coloration. He's exercising his wings a bit. While he's doing that, you can see how pointed each individual feather is on his wings. Everything about this bird is built for speed, and that also gives him that rakish look to cut through the air. All
Right. I wanted to play that a little bit. It's a really long video, so I just wanted to play a little bit to talk a little bit about what Pacific Wildlife Care does for wildlife. So they're located in my beautiful hometown. You know, she had all the references to the Central Coast of California. They're in Morro Bay, California, and I believe they were originally founded to care for oiled, oiled pelicans from an oil spill, and now they take care of a lot of the rescued animals in my hometown. So any of the donations to this stream goes to help support their care. And I have another video about possums, and I love possums. They're just the cutest things. And I'm going to play that maybe once we get a few donations later in the stream. So maybe I'll keep that as a little reward. Okay. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Johan. A few other people. Yeah, falconry would be a great career. That would be pretty cool. We have a falcon center, or I think it's like raptor rescue center near where I live, and I've always wanted to go. It's like a sanctuary for them. It's like what she was talking about on the video. One of the biggest things with raptors right now is DDT and the use of pesticides that actually really impacts I think it's the formation of their shells, of their eggs, like the shell of their eggs can't properly form, and it's led to the decimation of a number of raptor populations. And I think too it also impacts a few other species as well too. So it's pesticide use is a really big deal when we're talking about them. Hey, Luther. Oh, and I never addressed Flora's chat earlier. Hi, I'm a student taking up environmental management. I'm really inspired. You're one of the people who motivates me. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Flora Caldido. As people start to trickle in and answer questions, thank you for coming. I'm going to chat a little bit more, I suppose, about some of the species that Pacific Wildlife Care takes care of. They have a number of possums, raccoons. I know like the Peregrine Falcons we saw. I believe they also have ravens in their care, and a number of brown pelicans and grebes that they have worked on and re-released in the Central Coast around Morro Bay. Hey, Gilbert. Brandon, DDT makes your beaks brittle. Huh. Yeah, I'm not an expert on the DDT. I think there's a number of impacts for a variety of animals. It's a really toxic substance to wildlife, and it's definitely no good to be exposed to for anyone, that's for sure. Oh my gosh, Johan already donated $50. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for donating. Wow, oh my God, we already like got, what percentage is that? $53 out of $500 that I have on here. That's amazing. Thank you so much for donating to PWC. That's an amazing donation. Thank you guys. Oh, I'm excited already. I wasn't sure if anyone was going to donate. I set a $500 goal, but any little bit helps, really. I think you can even do a few bucks on the chat, the donation chat, and it doesn't go through me or anything. It goes directly to Pacific Wildlife Center for their care of their animals. What else was I going to say? Pacific Wildlife Care, not Pacific Wildlife Center. I do have a fundraiser open until Christmas Day. I figured that was like kind of a nice thing to keep open until Christmas. So if you can't donate today, you can go back to this video and donate, or donate directly with them. But if we want to track it through our little thing on here, you can donate directly here. Brandon, thank you for the $5. PWC, awesome. Okay, so we have $58 now. So I think that's already pretty impressive. Gilbert, $3. Thank you so much. This is amazing. I love this platform. Like, I've never tried the YouTube donations. And everyone, you can ask questions too, and I can answer them. Like, especially if you're donating, I would love to. We definitely, I think, have already earned the Opossum video, but maybe I'll save that once we get a little bit further into the stream. I have a beverage if anyone else would like to join me and enjoy this Wildlife Wednesday. I have a few other folks that we're going to join in later and come chat on the chat box. I have maybe Connell Bradwell coming in to chat with you guys on the chat box. Does Pacific Wildlife accept prepaid Visa? Try it. It should work. I think it would be fine. It's just directly through YouTube. So if you push the donate button, you just add in your credit card information and it all gets processed through YouTube's charitable giving platform. So I think any Visa, MasterCard is fine, but give it a try. 1966 Repti Dude, $5 donation. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, what are we at now? $66 already. Okay, I'm definitely going to do this more often because this is pretty freaking cool to see the impact we can have on wildlife right away. Oh, hey, Connell, you're here. I already promised that you'll join in and say hi. You're our celebrity guest. Look how many donations we already got. I've been streaming for 16 minutes, and we've already raised $66 for Pacific Wildlife Care. So that's pretty exciting. Oh, you saw the Peregrine Falcon. Very cool, very cool. Dandy, once I get a credit card, most likely next year, I'll definitely donate to orgs like PWC. Yeah, usually for online donations, credit card or PayPal is pretty good. But, I'll also donate the proceeds. I turned on ads on this video because it's easy. So if you're watching on the ads and stuff like that, that's a little bit I'll throw towards PWC as well too. And PWC I picked them as an organization because there's a lot of fundraisers for these large wildlife rehabilitation organizations, or even just like wildlife organizations in general, like WWF, World Wildlife Fund. But I find that like a lot of the local regional rehabilitation centers sometimes tend to get left out of the loop. And the town that I live in, well, the town I grew up in, Morro Bay, where PWC is located, is a small town. They definitely don't get any sort of like large donors or anything like that. So a lot of times they're running 24/7. Like I think their wildlife line runs 24/7 rescuing wildlife with like very little income coming in such a small town. So I wanted to highlight a small organization. I think next time I'm trying to get a few other wildlife rehabilitation programs that are underfunded set up through YouTube Giving so that we could do more of these with other small organizations. But it really goes a long way with the small organizations. Okay, Gilbert, if you have a Cash App Visa card, that should work as well. That's good to know. I don't know anything about Cash App because we don't have it in Canada. So Connell, haha, celebrity. I'm loving this platform. Yeah, Connell, I wish there was a way we could get you on like video, but I spent all day trying to figure that out and I could not figure it out. So maybe next time. But I'm glad you're in the chat hanging out for now. Did I assume you saw the Peregrine Falcon? I thought you'd like that. Yeah, very true. Local places are often doing so much for wildlife and get very little coverage for it. That's very true. I think the people who work for these smaller, especially smaller wildlife rehabilitation organizations are just like absolute angels on earth, like doing such amazing work, and it's so underfunded, like especially those of you guys who want to work for wildlife rehabilitation organizations. They often can't offer people a large salary, and they rely on so much volunteer work, which is great that volunteer people want to join in, but it can be really hard to fund rescue operations, for sure. Let's see, we have 19 people in here. Maybe I'll give it a few minutes after the hour and we'll watch the possum video. I should have got some more queued up, but they have some more rescue videos on their website. Gilbert, makes me so sad. They deserve so much better. Very true. Very true. Yeah, that can be really hard work, rescue and rehabilitation. Like when I worked in that field, when I worked down in Bolivia with the organization down there, is one of my first jobs. It was hard work. Like, you take people who want to be wildlife biologists and wildlife rehabilitators, they do that work because they love animals, but no animal shows up at the rehabilitation center like happy and healthy. It's like kind of the sad side of things, but it's such important work to be done. Gilbert, I think the rest of your comment might have got cut off. Do you happen to know someone's places there? I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, maybe we'll learn a little bit about possums and see what they have to say about possums. I haven't watched this video yet, so. Oh, before we do that, someone donated $20 anonymous to PWC. Thank you so much for the $20 donation. That's really amazing. That puts us up to $97 US already in 20 minutes. That's pretty freaking cool. Thank you so much for the $20. Oh, some places where we can volunteer at wildlife rehabilitation centers. That's a really good question. A lot of wildlife rehabilitation centers are, like I mentioned, located in small towns. So small towns have options sometimes. Sometimes if you're in an area without one, you might not have an option, but some places to look for those sorts of volunteer options are usually directly on the rehabilitation center's website. So say you live in Texas, type in Google Texas Wildlife Rehabilitation Centers and see what comes up around your area, and then directly check with them. Most of the time, they get a lot of volunteer inquiries, so you can reach out to them directly and see on their website their volunteer page to see if there's any more information about what you need on there. Okay, and Dobry2378, it was you that donated. Thank you. I would have called you out by name, but it says anonymous on the chat there. Was that you who was working with the prepaid visa? I guess that's kind of good to know. Oh yeah, it's good to know that that works. I think the Citi Visa number will work for you too. Okay, let's learn about some possums.
Hi, this is Uma, and she is a Virginia opossum. She's full grown, and she's getting close to 2 years old. So opossums are really common in this area, and they're so common everywhere. They're common in like the natural setting, in the suburbs, and even in the city. So most people have at one time or another come into contact with the opossum. They are oftentimes people think that they look a lot like a big rat, but they are not rodents at all. They are North America's only marsupial. And they're pretty special because they are marsupials. So that means that they're like the kangaroo, they have a pouch. And so I'm going to hold her up and see if we can get a shot of her pouch. She's not going to like it. But if you can see on her belly, it's a little round circle, and that's where they carry their babies. So, and I'm giving her grapes right now because...
Tara,
Oh,
how many
yes.
babies do they have?
So they can have up to 13 babies. And what's really interesting is that because they are marsupials, when they're born, they're about the size of your baby fingernail. They're so tiny, their gestation rate time is only 13 days. And then they crawl out of the birth canal and crawl up into the pouch. And so they stay in the pouch until they're old enough to, they ride on the back of their mother's back when she's just walking around and gathering food. And so oftentimes the babies will fall off the mother's back and the mother won't know about it, she won't notice. And so that's when we get a lot of calls. Springtime is baby season, and so the babies might fall off the mother's back and they cannot survive on their own. So it's really important that if you see a baby possum to call 543 Wild, because they cannot, you may think they can survive on their own, but they really can't.
Cute little possum. I love everyone's reaction. Look at that face. So cute. I saw one once. It's sad how many dead possums are on the road. Yeah, I know. I see them on the road a lot. God. A couple of days ago, there was one walking across the power line, but thankfully it made it safely. Ooh, scary. There was a possum that got into my house once when I was working in the field. It was frightening. Connell, I'm obsessed with them. My friend filmed him recently for PBS and did a slow motion possum shot of it walking, and it looks like a drag race strut. That's amazing. I can see that. I can see that. Raccoons are adorable. I put a raccoon on the thumbnail for this video. I wish I had a raccoon video. I only put 2 videos on because I thought that this wasn't going to work, but this worked amazing watching the videos together. So next time I do a live, I think I'm going to pull together a bunch of different ones. We can watch the Peregrine Falcon one again too for anyone who missed that. That was pretty fun. You know how people think other countries' animals are so cute, but look at that cute possum's face. I know. Just absolute cuties. I think I could also look at some stories about the possums that they take care of too. Pretty cool. And I think that's really such a important thing with the small wildlife rehabilitation centers is that's the little work, taking care of the little guys, the raccoons and the possums. There's not a lot of people looking out for them, and small rehabilitation centers take a lot of calls for possums, and it can be when you have the oil spills and stuff, it's really, the ducks and the seabirds are such a huge deal and they get a lot of media coverage, but the day-to-day, rehabilitation is often, those common wildlife species that you just have outside of your house. At least in North America, we have possums and raccoons. How often are you thinking about doing these streams? I do Wildlife Wednesday streams usually once a month, donation ones. This is my first time trying it, so far it's working out really well. So far, I shouldn't jinx myself because my computer randomly turned off earlier today, so that might happen again if I suddenly disappear. But yeah, I want to do these more often for sure, but I don't have a set schedule or anything yet, just because I sometimes have to go out in the field with very little notice. So I try not to set any schedules because I usually can't stick to it. Anyone who's a biologist can understand that. Gilbert asks, so to become a wildlife rehabilitator, what sort of education do I need? So as I was kind of touching on before, wildlife rehabilitation, oftentimes the bulk of the work will come to volunteers and to wildlife veterinarians. So if you want to be a wildlife veterinarian, then look at the veterinary school path. But for wildlife rehabilitation work, the best place to kind of start out is to start volunteering. Usually once you're 18, you can volunteer, sometimes 16. Also, too, a common thing with volunteering positions for wildlife rehabilitation centers is to have your license, because a lot of times they'll need people to pick up the animals and bring them to the rehabilitation center. So once you get your license and you're 18, usually you can start off there. And if you want to be hired as a full-time wildlife rehabilitator, you don't always need a bachelor's degree, but it definitely helps. But those wildlife rehabilitation positions are often few and far between, especially because they're, like we were talking about, they're so underfunded. It's often one of the lowest paying positions that you can get in wildlife biology, but it often can be extremely rewarding work. Another option too is to volunteer on the weekends or part-time with a rehabilitation organization. Prince Hotbod donated $5 to Pacific Wildlife Care. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. I think that puts us up over $100, $102 raised. That's awesome. Oh my God, and we just got another one. Zach Machinsky donated $20 to PWC. Thank you so much for the $20 donation. Right as I said that, we're now at $122 out of $500. Waffle Man, what state do you think is best for getting a wildlife job? There's definitely not one state that's better than another. And one of the nice things with wildlife jobs is there's kind of a little bit of a nice thing. It's like some jobs are only found in rural areas and some jobs are only found in cities. And wildlife work can be found in both rural areas and cities. So I guess it's just often different kinds of work. Like, for example, some wildlife biologist jobs will be with parks. And when you're working for a regional or national park, they're often in really, really remote areas, or even your local city parks will sometimes hire biologists who cover all of the park areas. Same with like organizations like Ducks Unlimited or organizations that protect wildlife in rural areas. So you can find wildlife work in rural areas, but also in cities as well, because a lot of wildlife organizations, consulting companies, all that are headquartered in cities. Capitals too are another place to look. If you live in a capital city, often the government will hire wildlife biologists or just biologists out of capital cities. So it's kind of like there's work in all different types of places, which is kind of a nice pro. I would say like just my anecdotal evidence is that often states with pretty strict environmental laws will often hire more biologists and to like make sure that everyone is following those environmental and wildlife laws. And often too, not necessarily, those states might have more funding to hire more biologists if they prioritize the environment more. But that's not cut or dry because some states that don't have a huge environmental record will still have like large groups that handle hunting and fishing, and those groups will hire biologists. I'm pretty sure you can be a warden biologist, meaning you're a wildlife biologist that works with the state's game warden service. Correct. Most states, that's a good place to look, especially if you're interested in wildlife populations and hunting and tracking all that. What's the most fun job you've had, and what's the most fun part of your current job? Well, that's a really good question. See, I like struggle a lot of times because like wildlife jobs that I've worked on have been really rewarding, but they're not always fun because it's hard work. Like being in the field, especially, it can be really, really tough and grueling work. I would say probably the most like fun job that I ever had was working for the municipal government in California. I was working as like a really entry-level biologist with the Parks and Recreation Department. And I got to do a lot of really fun work because we would like track and monitor populations of wildlife and sensitive species. And that part was like it was municipal, so I never really had to go like too far out there. Like the weather was great, and I got to be home in my bed every single night. That was kind of fun at the time. But I mean, I guess I would say my other follow-up point would be like just a few years ago when I was working up in northern Alberta. There was a lot of not fun parts about that job, but there was a lot of really fun stuff when I got to go to like really, really remote locations and like be gone for like 3 weeks, like tracking bears or something cool. Like those are like definitely the parts of the job that like I remember and like I always tell stories about down the line, you know? So it can be hard work, but it's very rewarding. I found out from you and my old wildlife professors that there are office jobs, which is good. I'm a disabled citizen, so can't do a lot of physical labor outside of this. Yeah, you were right. There are office jobs. Yeah. With office jobs, you've probably seen like some of my comments about that. Like sometimes if you can't do field work and you want to do wildlife work, it might be best to like get some pretty good skills that will allow you to be in the office more than field work. So what I'm trying to say is like if you're doing a bachelor's program and you have the options between taking like some field biology courses or something more like environmental planning, environmental policy, if you know you're going to be in the office, you might want to do some more of the environmental policy type work or the planning type of coursework just in preparation for some of the stuff that will come up in the office more often than it will in the field. I think my state's average salary for a wildlife biologist is $70,000 to $80,000 Washington, but it can be expensive to live in. Yeah, that's definitely not like a starting salary anywhere. That's for sure. I think very few careers have like starting salaries of $70,000 to $80,000. You know, maybe like petroleum engineers would start at that, but definitely like if you work your way up over time, I think that can be pretty. It's a little bit on the higher end, I think. Like you probably would be employed with like consulting or government at a higher level for that kind of salary, but it's definitely possible. I mean, that's pretty much in the range of what I make. So, but I've also had like, I don't know, 7 years of experience now or coming up on that. So it's been a lot. It's been a while. Someplace wild. You're such an inspiration to me. Love your hairstyle, by the way. Thank you. It's out of necessity. My hair during quarantine is an actual big chore. I bought like a satin scarf so I could just like tie my hair up and be done with it for the remainder of quarantine. I'm getting my bachelor's in environmental engineering in Montana right now. Do you think an engineer could get a job as a wildlife biologist? Environmental engineering, oh, that's a good question because you're asking specifically about wildlife. It might be a hard transition. I don't think the degree is like necessarily a deal breaker, but I think you're going to find difficulty if you don't have a wildlife degree or an ecology degree and you also don't have any wildlife experience. If you wanted to transition, I would look there's two options you can go down. You could either start getting wildlife experience on the side, like if you can volunteer somewhere on the side or get like a seasonal job. That's one option to start kind of building that resume. Or you can get work at a company, like a consulting company or someone that works with wildlife as well as environmental engineering. Because I've actually found that when I've had trouble finding wildlife work, if I get a job at like a firm that has a wildlife team, like once my foot's in the door, you can kind of start like talking to the wildlife team, ask if you can go out in the field with them as like a safety second, and like kind of working your way up through the company to that team. So it's kind of like, I hear no one talking about that, but that's always served me really well, is if you can get in on a company of something that's like close enough to wildlife and then like work your way to the wildlife team slowly. As long as your qualifications are fairly close, it could be a good option. Yeah, you can do internships in the summer. That's another option as well. Brandon, how does frequent travel usually affect personal relationships? That's a good point, and I get asked this a lot actually. It kind of just it's such a personal thing, like for you to decide yourself, I guess. You know, no one is gonna force you to take a field job. If you get offered a field job that's going to keep you away from home for 3 months, you certainly do not have to take it if you don't feel like you can feel comfortable maintaining your relationship being away from someone for 3 months, 6 months, a year, stuff like that. So sometimes if you do value that a lot, you can take smaller field jobs, so jobs that would only take you away for a month or something like that. Or, some people just like while they're young take advantage of being young and having a flexible lifestyle and do long distance and Skype call people if you are within cell reception. I personally I found that like I need to have someone that I'm in a relationship with who understands like that this is like what I'm passionate about and doesn't like hold me back. And I don't necessarily think it's like unfair for a partner to say, yeah, I don't want you to be gone for 6 months. It's very reasonable. But I've always it's been something I've like had to work out with people I've been in a relationship with. Like, can we do long distance, and like can our relationship survive this, I guess. And I found it really difficult when I was gone for like months and months and months at a time. It can be tough, and that's why I've kind of transitioned to only being away from home for a few weeks at a time. Because yeah, I can do it for a year or two, but if now this is my life and you're forever not going to see me, that's a little bit more unfair personally, like in my relationship. Okay, that's probably enough about me. That's a sneaky, interesting way to climb up the ladder. Very true. It is sneaky, but honestly, like, they, like, a lot of times they just want people, like, who are internal. And so you tend, like, and often too, like, opportunities will come up where it doesn't make sense to hire, like, a new biologist. They just need someone to, like, kind of like tag along because maybe they're in bear country and they need a second person. So that's where I would always like be like, hey, you need a second person to do bear den sweeps? Like, I'll do it. And just like making it known that I want to do that kind of work. And it happens all the time, especially in consulting. And most of the time, like, employers are pretty happy to cross-train you on stuff as long as you have like some sort of science degree and an interest in some basic knowledge about it. Connell, finding the wildlife people in certain places and just asking if you can tag along can lead to so much. Very true. Connections are key. Asking in a respectful way for what you want. That's very true. You might have different levels of success with asking for what you want, but do it anyway, I guess. Sorry, guys. Do you have any places in mind to be an intern at for field work? So there's a number of options and avenues you can go down. I can talk a little bit about internships if you guys are interested, and some tips for finding an internship, I guess. So for internships, you can go down a few different common avenues. So one is to be a research assistant, and this is often not even an internship. This is sometimes just like an entry-level job. If you are a research assistant for a grad student or a professor, those jobs can typically be found through your university. And especially if you want to go down the academic path and do a master's or a PhD, this might be the type of like internship / entry-level job you want. Research assistant positions can sometimes be paid and sometimes unpaid. So your mileage may vary on asking for pay. You might also get a stipend too, which is nice, but usually it's like half and half paid and unpaid. A few other options too is nonprofits often have interns. Those positions are often unpaid. I find with nonprofits, they don't have the funding to pay an intern very much. Government organizations is another place to look. Government jobs will often hire interns, and those are usually paid. Like most of the time, the government will pay you to be an intern, and that's actually a really good one if you want to work in government and if you want to build those connections while you're an intern. I did a government internship when I was in college, so I really enjoyed it, and I got I didn't get offered a job when I was done, but they were like, please apply to this job because you'd be a good fit. I didn't end up doing it because I moved to Canada, but it's good for getting connections. Okay, since we have a few more comments and questions rolling in and a few new people joining as well too, I just wanted to point out for folks that are new that today we are raising money for Pacific Wildlife Care, and Pacific Wildlife Care helps wildlife on the Central Coast. They originally started with wildlife that were oiled from an oil spill and now rescue and rehabilitate animals all across the Central Coast near Morro Bay, California is where their center is, and that's my hometown, so that's why I've chosen them to fundraise for today. We've already gotten a number of donations for Pacific Wildlife Care. We're at $122 out of $500 raised, and I set that goal to be good until Christmas, so you can also donate down the line. I think if you go to this video, you can add in your donation later, closer to Christmas. And what else was I going to say? All the donations, it goes through YouTube's charitable giving platform. It does not go to me, so don't worry about that. It goes right to the organization with no transaction fees or anything like that. Also, I have ad revenue turned on in this video, so I will donate whatever ad revenue once this gets processed to Pacific Wildlife Care as well. So if you want to donate, there is a few donation buttons on the page. There's a donate button to the top right of the page, and also in the chat box, if you click on the little icon with the hands in a heart, that will also send you to the donation page to process your payment through credit card. So anyway, I just wanted to cover that again for people who are new, and I'm going to be answering questions till I guess I get tired for Wildlife Wednesday. And if you donate too, we can see if you mark it, we can see your donation on the chat box. So I'll shout you out if you donate to Pacific Wildlife Care. Oh, let me take a drink and then I'll ask another question. All right, let's go back up to where I left off. I got accepted into a college, but is volunteer work good beforehand, like in the summer? From Gilbert. Yes. Volunteer work is always good. Anything that builds your resume will always help you. Not even necessarily for like college entry, but it helps you for finding your first job and to build up your resume so that you don't graduate with nothing on your resume. You'll have your volunteer experience on there. And you also get references when you volunteer. A lot of people ask me how to get their first references for a job, so volunteer work is a good one. Okay, well, there's even questions before that. What job should I get to have the most field work in the wildlife field? Look out for jobs that have the title biologist, scientist, or technician in them. Those usually have the most field work. Jobs with like planning, policy, analyst, administrator, those usually have less to no field work. Okay, the wind outside and the rain is like terrifying. So if I disappear, it's probably because my power went out. So I'm sorry. It's an act of God I can't control for this live stream. Jeez, that's scary. I think someone's going to fly off my deck. Flor, hello. I'm a student taking up environmental management here in the Philippines. Can I ask for more background of future jobs that are international? Yeah, I can't speak too much to the Philippines, and I know there's so many Filipino folks like on my comment section that always are chiming in that they're from there, and I don't know too much about that. I do have a job or a video though about working abroad, and the biggest thing with international jobs, like the biggest barrier is visas and work authorization, because biologist jobs are so competitive, even for domestic workers, that a lot of times they have to like actually go through the sponsorship process for an international applicant. And if you don't already have a work visa, it can be extremely difficult to get sponsored to work internationally. So I would look up now like what your immigration options are. Sometimes you can get like working holiday visas for some countries, or countries that will allow you to get like a skilled worker visa. Like, for example, I know Australia, New Zealand, because I've looked into this before, like if you have a bachelor's degree in a competitive field and you're like going to come to them with like scientific knowledge, then sometimes you can get your visa that way without having a job offer and having the job sponsor you. Because a lot of jobs are very unwilling to sponsor you, honestly. So start thinking about those kinds of things if you want to work abroad, because that can be the biggest barrier for sure. Okay, good question though. As someone who's like worked abroad, that's my experience at least. It's just visas are just like the biggest nightmare, just getting that travel authorization. How important is networking in uni to get internship jobs for EnviroSci? How many of your jobs are found through connections versus online websites? Networking is huge. Like, if you have a good network, you won't have a problem finding a job. And, I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, but that's like the way things are in many places. The biggest thing I'd say is networking isn't always like that kind of generic, like, hi, like I went to a career fair and here's my name tag, like here's my business card. It's not always like as like scary sounding as that, because like personally I don't like kind of like selling myself to strangers in a career fair setting, but it can also just be like your people you went to school with. So like your classmates in school, they're gonna all be working one day in your field. So like, keeping in touch with people, keeping in touch with professors, asking them to send you any job opportunities from their companies. Don't be annoying about it. Don't ask them to get you a job. Just keep me in the loop for any opportunities that come up in your. Oh my god. Sorry. I feel like I'm like a horror live streamer because something just like broke on my deck. Oh my god, that scared me so bad. There's a windstorm going on outside. I'm gonna play that back when I finish this live stream. There's like a windstorm going on outside, and I think one of my plants just like exploded outside, or that one of my neighbor's plants. Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. Okay, sorry, I like totally forgot where I was at with that. Anyway, yeah, internships are important. Okay, sorry, I missed a bunch of questions. They're coming in fast here. Oh. Okay, back to the questions. That just totally shook me up. Um, Selena, what do you think about a university program in environmental studies versus in environmental science if I'm interested in consulting? Do you know anything about geoscience degrees? I get this question a lot. If you want to do like the more technical work, like more of like a scientist type of job, environmental science is usually like a better selling point on your resume because it's a little bit more technical and sciencey versus an environmental studies degree has a lot more, generally, like this isn't for every school, but generally has a lot more like policy, like conservation theory sort of stuff, which can be better if you're doing like government policy writing type of work. So if you want to do more technical work, try to do environmental science. If you want to do more of the office work and less of the science technical work, then do environmental studies if you want. Environmental science, I just like prefer seeing applicants with that degree because it has like a really good sciencey background, but it's totally not that important. Like you can also get a biologist job with an environmental studies degree. It's just like if you have the option, I think I would probably pick environmental science, especially for consulting. So I don't know too much about geoscience degrees. So. Oh. You talked a lot about the importance of networking, what online sources can help with networking, and what do you have tips for advertising yourself? I would say tips for that's such a good point. There's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is has its pros and its cons. I don't have LinkedIn anymore because I just like found it was another social media site to catch up with, and I didn't really want it anymore. But I actually have gotten a interview opportunity off of LinkedIn before. So if you are willing to let another social media organization into your life, you can create a LinkedIn page and start reaching out and connecting with people on there with organizations that you are, maybe like people you already know, like people you worked with who are on there. Don't start adding too many randoms or you'll get marked as a spammer, which I know firsthand because I tried to do that when I got a job. I like added everyone who was like a wildlife biologist at the organization that I wanted to work for, and then they're like, I don't know you, and they rejected me. So probably don't do that. Start with people you already know. Another opportunity too is right now with COVID, all of the conferences are going, and like networking organizations are all going online. So start checking out some of those that might be relevant and try to keep it regionally relevant because, I mean, yeah, it's important to know people internationally who work in wildlife, but if you're looking for like a job in Los Angeles, for example, it's probably most useful that you like network with like Los Angeles or Southern California organizations. And also, too, if you are a student, because I know Ara, you asked this, and I know you're a student, you can look at student organizations. Like I personally just gave a panel talk with Greenkeepers USA, which is a student-run environmental organization in the U.S., and they have meetings. I know like 350.org has student organizations. Like all of those big environmental organizations usually have student chapters, so you can start getting to know people then. And like I said too, the people that you're meeting who are students now are going to be workers one day in the future. So it's really good to meet some people on there. I have a few more stuff, but I won't drone on too much about networking. But social media, like Instagram, is also another really big one. If you are a science communicator, you can meet a lot of really cool people on just social media and just like putting your photos out there and talking to people. Hey, Lena. I wish I could see you as well, but it's just me. Oh, okay. Here's a good question from 1966 Rusty Dude. I'm going to be applying for summer internships this week. What do I need to include in my resume? And a lot of people who are applying for summer stuff, this might be relevant now or also going into the spring as those positions start to open up. For your resume, I have a whole video about resumes, but there's lots of misinformation about resumes. And there's a lot of arguments of what should or shouldn't be on the resume, but I think the most important thing to make sure you include is like succinct information from the volunteer work you've done before. If you have done any volunteer work, and if you're early in your career, just keep it to one page if you are in North America. I'm not going to give resume advice for outside of North America because it really depends, but try to keep it to one page. You can highlight some school projects that you led or clubs that you led or had a big involvement in if you don't have too much like actual work experience to put on. Include anything that you think is gonna like stand out from like school projects, thesis. I don't know if anyone does thesis in high school, but research projects, stuff like that. You can kind of pad it up with that. Don't include your resume or your references like phone numbers or anything like that. Just you can give that to them when they ask for it most of the time. Yeah, I would check out my resume video for a little bit more advice on that. But make sure you spell check it. That's like a big one when I reviewed intern resumes that a lot of people did not spell check. And, you know, a lot of people are English as a second language people. So, of course, it can be easy to make mistakes. God, if I wrote my resume in Spanish, it would be full of spelling mistakes. But if you have the option to have someone proofread it who's like a fluent speaker or who's good at spelling, then I would recommend it because a lot of people will throw out resumes that have too many grammar and spelling mistakes. Brandon, I don't have to get social media to network. I have to get social media to network, don't I? You don't have to. I just threw that out because like a lot of people do it on social media right now, especially with COVID. If social media is going to be like more detrimental to your mental health, because like I get it, I deleted my, like even with my channel, I used to have Twitter, LinkedIn, like what are all the other ones? I don't know, all the other social medias, and I just like couldn't keep up, and so I deleted them. So don't do anything that's going to be like harmful to your mental health just to network. I would check more on like those organizations who do like the Zoom calls instead, if you want to avoid the social media stuff. But LinkedIn kind of can help, but it also can be like really annoying. LinkedIn's turning into Facebook, so that's why I'm not on it. I kind of laughed at that one video with eco-volunteerism. The only ones that can afford to get international internships are the rich, privileged white kids. Can be very accurate. I stand by that comment. International internships are such a like pet peeve of mine as someone who's done an international internship. Like, I mean, mine like wasn't like those sea turtle ones that you pay $10,000 for, but like it can be really, really hard to get a paid internship internationally because, and I'm reading a really good book. Oh shoot, hold on, let me get the book right a second because I have a good book recommendation. Okay, so I'm reading a book and it's called, it's a brand new book about millennials. It's called Can't Even by Anne Helen Peterson. And she talks about how for careers, this resonated so much, for careers where like, people have a lot of passion and like identify themselves as that career, which is us, like wildlife biologists. I feel like we all like identify ourselves as wildlife biologists first and foremost, and see this as like such a fundamental part of who we are. But I also think we can't forget that we are laborers. Like, and it's weird when you come with these like passion careers, but this book talks about it really well. Like, we are laborers. We provide labor. Like that always needs to be kept in mind because people will take advantage of people who are like passionate about the field to get like free or cheap labor from, basically, with very little protections. And volunteerism can definitely do that. It can take advantage of people, and their labor is not properly compensated for. And I think that's something to keep in mind with. And there are opportunities for paid internships, and I would really recommend you try to look for those first, even though you might see a glamorous internship in, sea turtle rehabilitation in Costa Rica, and you want to do it so bad. If you find a paid internship in your own community, that often can be better for your resume than the international one, and I think a lot of people don't really talk about that. The international one can be an amazing experience. I really value like my time doing international work, but it's certainly not accessible for everyone. And yeah, I think people, especially who can't, like most people can't afford to spend $8,000, like spend money to volunteer. So don't dismiss the whole career field. There are paid opportunities for internships. You just have to like hold out for a little bit, check government organizations that you most of the time pay, research assistant positions, stuff like that, or volunteer work in your community that you can do maybe after school or after your paid jobs that only take up like an hour or two of your week, some that you can do remotely. Those are some opportunities to kind of fit in some career building stuff without putting too much of a strain on your life, or do stuff within your ability. I know I'm going on about this, but this is like very close to my heart because I like put myself through school, and I really could not afford to take unpaid jobs. Like, I was working in fast food and stuff after school. So I worked at Chipotle and, EB Games and all that around my schoolwork. And so I had to wait until I got offered a paid position to do an internship. And I think that's probably the case with a lot of people. Your work is valuable even if you're passionate about it. True. It's even more valuable. That is true. Yeah, it's been eye-opening to read this book. Can't Even. It just came out, but it's all about millennials and how much we've been taught. Like, I have my little e-reader. How much we've been taught that, like, if you, what's the saying? Like, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And then, like, how that's kind of been twisted by companies and organizations to get like free labor out of us, because it's like, oh, you want to be paid to be a wildlife biologist? I thought you were just really passionate about this, but I guess all that matters is money to you, huh? It's like, no, we need to survive. Like, yeah, that can be like a common thing that a lot of people run to, especially in the States. That was my experience growing up. Like, well, I don't have the privilege to just work for fun. Like, I've never have. So, and I did get a lot, like, I went through my university, even though, like, I had to work and all that, I still had a lot of other privileges that other people didn't have. I recognize that as well, too, but I'm just trying to be, like, really receptive to all that, and if you guys are dealing with that. I'll get off that subject because I could go on and on and on. Okay, let's look at some more questions. Oh my gosh, I love how people are talking about labor and social structure. I think we need to talk more about that. Oh, that's interesting that social engineering, I think that's your username. If any of you are UC students, there's a great environmental research program through UC called CEC, California Ecology and Conservation. Oh, cool. I've never heard of that. I was a UC student at UCSD. Yeah, maybe that wasn't around when I was there. I just didn't hear about it. There's also schools. I know, like, for example, my degree program at UCSD in San Diego, we were given units for doing internships. So it actually, like, were units towards helping us graduate. So we did internships during that time, and it, like, went to our total amount of units we needed. So degree programs that already have internships built in, and they set you up to connect with, like, internship providers, can be another good option too. They kind of force you to do an internship, those sorts of degree programs, but they do give you units for it, and it can be just as beneficial to do an internship as more classes at school. So. Sarah Bear, is your question about keeping reptiles that you got as rescues? I never kept reptiles growing up, like, and reptiles are actually, like, not my specialty, so maybe I don't really have too many strong feelings about that. The reason why I bring up the captive tigers, bears, and cougars so much is because those animals are, like, it's kind of cut and dry. Like, keeping a pet cougar is never good. A rescue cougar is one thing, but that's a very easy issue to speak out about because there's no, like, gray areas to it. So I don't know. I'm not informed enough about the reptile rescue to make, like, an informed comment on that. A lot of times, some of the things to look into, though, if you're doing that sort of research yourself, of whether or not something's ethical or not, is to not only look into, like, the behavioral impacts of keeping something captive, but also where the animal that you're getting as a pet is sourced from. And this is even relevant for dogs and cats. Like, where's the source coming from? Is it a rescue that could never be re-released anyway, or is it something that might come from, like, a darker exotic pet trade, which can be a little bit more problematic? So those are all things to look into and make a decision about with your research. Yeah, especially if your pet feels like eating you, your kids or other pets. True, that is not good. Oh, your high school forces you to do internships. They offer ones at the zoo, veterinary hospitals, and stuff. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't. I did do volunteer work in high school. I volunteered at a hospital because that was back when I wanted to be a doctor. So I put my volunteer work from high school. I was 14. I put it on my resume until, like, 3 or 4 years into my career. So even high school stuff is relevant. Excuse me, I'm trying not to sneeze. Do you know any types of jobs focused on ecology, natural resources, and environmental justice issues? There's a number of jobs that deal with that. I mean, ecology and natural resources is a very broad topic that would cover most jobs in biology and conservation, but specifically environmental justice, you know, there are, of course, like, a number of NGOs that focus specifically on environmental justice that if that's the kind of field you want to go down, you can look at those. But I think also think about things in a really broad sense, as in if you're someone who's, like, I identify as someone who's passionate about environmental justice, and I'm trying to talk about it as much as I can to start getting this stuff like normalized in the discussion. And I find that, like, working in a field that you're like a traditional biologist, not specifically focusing on environmental justice, can also be really good to start spreading that into the places where, you're maybe outside of like that traditional NGO realm. So for example, if you're working in some of the industries like forestry, oil and gas, having that knowledge of environmental justice and being the person who brings up these hard topics on calls can, definitely be useful. Same with government too. Like, government, it's always good to have this idea of the impact that your policies are having on marginalized communities. Yeah, so those are some ideas. Think about it broadly, rather than just like, oh, I need to find a job just with an environmental justice organization. Another option is to think in like at a community level. I know actually when I spoke at that panel with greenkeepers, there was a lady from India who had, I think her degree was in like economics, and she started an organization in her own community to deal with solid wastes and the environmentalism aspect of that. So, if you see something in your own community that hasn't been addressed yet, like this, resource that you think you can start your own organization, always think about that too, like entrepreneurship. I don't know if entrepreneurship is the right word for nonprofit work, but like maybe starting your own organization for your own community. Yeah, that's a good point too. About someone said here, sometimes very large corporations can afford to hire someone specifically for environmental justice. Yeah, if you want to work specifically with that, you're probably looking more at NGOs and some governments. Northwood's Law. I've seen that show once. I think when I have cable, like in the field, when I'm in the hotel, I sometimes watch that show. Just scrolling through all the other comments people have made here. Yeah, keeping a pet crocodile without any sort of permits, that's scary to me. Someone asked a while back, what kind of internships would you recommend for environmental engineering? Environmental engineering, I don't work a ton with environmental engineers, but check out renewable energy as an option, like renewable energy companies, environmental engineering consulting, environmental consulting companies. Well, I would look at those first. I have a question that wasn't answered above. Yeah, I'm like scrolling through the comments to see what questions I haven't answered yet. Wish I had more of those specific wildlife videos to show. Actually, maybe I'll put one on download while you guys add your questions here. Hopefully this won't crash my computer. I kind of want to see some of the other wildlife videos. They have a bunch of them on there. What do we have on here? Possums. We just saw possums. Oh, GIS and programming. That's a good topic to talk about. So I actually posted in the Discord a while back that I think that GIS programming modeling can be really often forgot but quickly growing segments of environmental science that a lot of people don't think about. Um, yeah, those are good ones. Like for example, modeling. Like a lot of biologists can't actually create models. Like I certainly don't have the technological expertise to create models. So having that personalized education to help do that. Like so example, I mean like climate models, oil spill trajectory modeling, and a lot of jobs with those are through governments. Sometimes consulting companies as well too, but a lot of times governments will actually hire modelers. Looking for more videos. Oh, here's some videos. YouTube videos. Maybe I'll throw back on the Falcon for those of you guys who missed it. And I'm going to see what else I can throw together here. And you guys can ask more questions and I'll kind of catch up here.
Hello, my name's Jerry, and I'm with Pacific Wildlife Care, and I do educational outreach. And this is one of our animal ambassadors. His name is Moro, and he is a male peregrine falcon. I'm going to talk a little bit about some general information, and then we'll talk about Mr. Moro directly. Peregrine falcons are medium-sized raptors with about a 3 to 4 foot wingspan and a weight of about 2 pounds. So they're not very heavy, even though they're very muscular. They have hollow bones, and then the rest of them, of course, are feathers. There's little difference between the males and the females with regard to their coloring. They look very, very similar. The females in raptors are always a little larger than the males, however. They nest in cliffs, in caves, and they make what's called a scrape, and it is literally they scratch the rock and they lay their eggs. They do not build nests. They usually lay 2 to 4 eggs, and they are very resourceful. If they can't find a bare rock or a cliff, you may have seen things where they will go to a high-rise a building in New York, for instance, and make their nest on a balcony. They also are starting to nest under human-made bridges. Peregrine falcons feed almost exclusively on birds that they catch in the air in mid-flight. Oh, he's showing you his wings. Lovely. They are seen in spectacular dives. They are amazing at their flying. When they're flying normally, they range between 28 and 60 miles an hour. But when they're what's called a stoop, where they're diving from great heights to get their prey, they can reach speeds of over 225 miles an hour. They are the fastest animal on the planet, and they love speed. It's their favorite thing. They will catch everything from songbirds to herons to ducks. They have tremendous lift, and they can pick up a heron or a duck without any trouble whatsoever. So they also were almost extinct. In 1965, they were completely gone from the East Coast. That was because of our use of DDT. It did not necessarily kill them outright, but what happened is it thinned their eggshells. So when they would breed and the female would lay her eggs, she would go to brood them, hatch them, keep them warm. She'd sit on them and she'd crush them. The shells were so thin. So their population started plummeting, and that's when they were gone from the East Coast. There were still a mating pair here on the Central Coast on Morro Rock, and people came from all over to study these birds. They had good food, and they were not subject to as much DDT. We have stopped, thank you. We have stopped using DDT here in the States. However, it's still being used south, and they do migrate. So sometimes we still get peregrines in with DDT in their system. Here, though, on the Central Coast, why would they migrate? It's amazing here. So they usually do stick around, and I think that's part of why they can avoid any kind of contamination. They are found on every continent except Antarctica, and they generally keep this same coloration. He's exercising his wings a bit. While he's doing that, you can see how pointed each individual feather is on his wings. Everything about this bird is built for speed, and that also gives him that rakish look to cut through the air.
Okay, hopefully you guys like that video. I did get another one too that I haven't watched yet, but a little bit more about raptors on the central coast of California, which is where Pacific Wildlife Care is located, who we're raising money for today. So this is kind of fun because it's very close to home. This is where I'm from. It's my hometown. So it's really interesting to hear about all the wildlife around. Very close to home. I got some questions in while I had that running. That gave me a little bit of a break to rest my throat so we can keep going, keep fundraising. I'm not doing like a 24-hour fundraising, but doing it till I get tired. Okay, I can answer a few more questions. Let's see. Yeah, someone brought up a good point about how, for example, the Peregrine Falcon, it's a good opportunity for wildlife that can't be re-released to be used as a public education tool, as long as the wildlife's able to deal with that. Different animals are able to deal with being exposed to the public a little bit in different ways, but if the wildlife aren't stressed out by being around people, especially for filming, it can be used as an educational tool to show, all the threats that are facing that species. I think too, there's a big difference too between a sanctuary releasing this versus like what we were talking about earlier of, some guy having a crocodile in his backyard. Maybe that should not be used as an educational tool. That argument can sometimes be made by the backyard or the roadside zoos, but I try to stick with sanctuaries and organizations that do rescue efforts when I look at wildlife being used in that way, I guess. Let's see what kind of questions. Were you very interested in science when you were a kid? Yes. I loved animals. I think that was the biggest thing is I loved every animal, like ants. I loved ants and like watching the ants in my backyard kind of play. And I loved we have these like little stink bugs that we had in my hometown. And I remember once my sister ran over one with her bike and I gave it a little funeral and I cried. So my love for animals goes way back. Science, I guess I didn't connect ecology and wildlife biology as being a scientist really. I feel like I had a very poor understanding growing up of what a scientist was. I thought, and I think this is just common if you consume media with wildlife in it, is I kind of thought Steve Irwin was what a scientist does, and that's really not accurate to the general lifestyle of a scientist. And also I didn't realize it was a job. And when I thought of scientist, I thought of some guy with a bunch of beakers in a lab, and science is very broad and it's not necessarily that traditional view. So it took until I got to college to realize that I wanted to be in more of an environmental scientist. And so it took my second year of college, I switched into ecology. Once I finally got exposed to professors who were real scientists, as in they do kind of more closer to what I do now. Good question. I love all animals except for mosquitoes. I hate those animals. Yeah, it can be hard to maintain your love for all things living when you're being eaten alive. I am almost at 30,000 subs. I did add a little widget onto here. If anyone subscribes, your name pops up on my video, but I think only one person subscribed so far. So I haven't really been able to test that out. But yeah, I got a new streaming service, and now I can when someone subscribes, it pops up on the screen. Oh, and when I hit 30,000 subscribers, I have a 10 things that you didn't know about me video coming out. I don't know if anyone cares, but I have some fun ones on there, stuff that you guys don't know. And I'll release that when I hit 30,000, which is pretty soon. I'll answer a few more questions. Yeah, a little bit more. People are talking more about DDT because I put that Peregrine Falcon video up again. DDT is huge in the States, like the impact that it has towards wildlife. Yeah, so many birds are being impacted by it. I believe California condors are another one that are commonly impacted by DDT, I want to say. And California condors are a really interesting kind of conservation case of what happened to them and why their populations are so low. I would recommend that you guys check out and read a bit more about California condors if you don't know too much about them. Yeah, and hunting for clothing, meat, and down products is another big one, historically especially. A lot of bird populations historically were commercially hunted for like the international trade for their, down and their products, I guess. Their bodies, I shouldn't say their products. Products were made out of their bodies. Their animal bodies are not products. That's a made up thing. Let's see. When I was a kid in grade 6, I got to see a real peregrine falcon. A presenter brought one in. I heard the numbers have improved. I think the numbers have improved here, I want to say, but I'm not 100% certain. I think they're still quite sensitive, but there's a lot of conservation efforts being done to help them. Yeah, Brandon. The end of 2019, the end of 2019, I was trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. That feels like that's not right, but I guess that really was just last year. And now I'm almost at 30,000, so that's really exciting. I did a lot this year for my channel. I'm pretty proud of. DDT is outlawed in Canada, but yeah, enforced hunting laws is another story. Yeah, that video is from the US, I think. So I'm not sure what their current laws are, but it's always up for like all the states. I think it's a state thing on the ballots a lot of times. People are always debating the DDT. Oh, people asking about a master's. Yeah, a master's degree is not necessary right now. I don't have a master's degree, but I'm always going back and forth about what to say. You don't need one. Like, plenty of people, I'd say half the people I work with don't have master's degrees. It's not necessary. However, it's quite common, and you'll often see jobs requiring it, which is unfortunate for me because I don't think I'll ever get into a master's program because I didn't get very good grades in my undergrad. So I don't think I'll ever get into one, but I mean, never say never. I did apply to like 5 and I got rejected from all of them, which I'm still bitter about. So hopefully, I won't get in trouble for not having a master's degree over time as things change. But for now, you can always try to start working in the field and see if you need one. If you're going into academia, definitely consider advanced degrees if you're looking at PhD academia. Yeah, I did do a video a while ago about graduate degrees. I think I got some slack on that video because I think I didn't promote it that much. But maybe that's because I'm just still bitter about not getting into any and still being successful, even though I don't have a master's degree. But sometimes I wish I did one. I always go back and forth on it. Yeah, master's is almost a norm now for higher level jobs in the field. Yeah, a lot of times, I mean, you can look at job applications now and see what's available, but a lot of times it will be like bachelor's with 5 years of experience or master's with 2 years or PhD with 2 years or something like that. So sometimes they still have an option for people with bachelor's, but they just need more experience to make up for it, which makes sense, I suppose. And there still are jobs that require no degree, just like a high school diploma. I do know some game wardens who have a 2-year technical diploma. Also, like if you want to do more environmental type stuff, like firefighting, like wildlands firefighting, stuff like that, then you don't always need a advanced degree. So try to think, like, don't just say, oh, like I'm gonna do my PhD because that's like what you're supposed to do. Like, just intentionally think about what's right for you and what's right in your area. Do a lot of research. Like, don't just jump into a 4-year graduate program without realizing what you want to do, like what's your goal coming out of it, what kind of opportunities will it give you, and is that needed in your field or in your area? Or if it's not needed, like, is that something you really want to do or you're really passionate about doing? So I guess I would just say with graduate stuff, just make sure all your decisions are very intentional and you don't just go into it because that's what I'm supposed to do. Have a plan around it. Taylor, I'm working on a fellowship essay and they want me to answer the question, what skills do you have that will assist this faculty mentor? How do I answer that question when I have no experience yet? That's a good question. I'm thinking and burping from my ear. Yeah, this is a really good chance to use those like selling yourself skills, like for resumes and stuff, like thinking creatively. So say you say you have no experience, but what about stuff you've learned in school? Like research skills that you've learned in your classes. Think about what you can pull out from school. If you've done volunteer work or paid non-wildlife work, what kind of skills did you learn in those jobs? Such as writing skills, a big one to highlight. If you're a good writer, you want to have those good skills. Highlight that because a lot of times faculty mentors will like people who have good writing skills. Those are just some ideas. Make something up. Don't lie, but like just think creatively about it. That's not a way of saying lie. Like just think about like skills you've learned aren't always like I was at a job and they taught me how to do GIS. It's like no, that takes into account everything you're learning in school and everything you're learning in your volunteer work. I'll even say like in your extracurriculars. Too, if you really can't think of anything in school, think about like, I don't know, what do you learn in your clubs? What kind of things can you provide in that way? Soft skills too, yeah, and a learning mindset. That's really good advice. Soft skills, yeah. Soft skills meaning like your communication skills and stuff like that. If I could afford and get into a PhD program, I would. Getting the doctor title is a huge selling point. I can utilize it well. I think, I was actually talking about this the other day, but if like someone just paid me to do a PhD, I don't even think I would do one in ecology. I would do one in like some like esoteric subject like Tolkienology. And just like, for 6 years just delve into like some obscure topic. That's why I'm not doing a PhD because it probably would be like very useless in the labor market for myself, but that's just always like appealed to me, is just like learning about some like topic and just delving into it. Hey Court, yeah, so this live I'm gonna keep public for you. I usually keep it on my main page for like 24 hours. Actually, I'm probably gonna keep this one for longer because it has the donation link to it, so you guys can continue to donate to Pacific Wildlife Care until Christmas. So you'll be able to watch it. It takes a while for its process, so it'll probably be up tomorrow morning. Someone asked because I was talking about applying for a master's in Canada or the US. I only applied to Canada because I was pretty set on coming to Canada when I was graduating because my partner's here. So I only applied to Canada. I never tried the US. I also didn't take the graduate, what do they call it? The graduate school, like the SATs for grad school that they do in the States. I didn't take that, and Canada schools don't usually need those. So I just stuck with Canada. Good question, Court. From what I can tell with wildlife rehab, there's not much dollars involved in it, mostly donation-based. Do you think that's true? Yes. Certainly not every wildlife rehabilitation organization, excuse me, is donation-based, but some get like grant funding from like government organizations, but certainly quite a few are, and they're often quite limited in funds. Thank you, Lena, for donating $10 to PWC. Okay, what does that bring us back up to now? $130 US. So almost probably 180 Canadian or something like that. Pretty good. It's exciting. Thank you. Like I said, Pacific Wildlife Care is close to my heart. They don't even know that I'm doing this stream. I just wanted to support something in my hometown. I'm a small organization, small rehabilitation center that really needs the funds. So I'll definitely do more. I want to highlight I'd actually like to highlight some of the small rehabilitation organizations in Canada next, I think, for the next charity live stream that I do. But certainly a lot too, I will say, like if you guys are thinking about charitable giving for Christmas, like holidays, a lot of them are shut down because of COVID. So I guess an example is the Marine Mammal Center with the Vancouver Aquarium really needs funds right now because they're typically funded a lot through like profits from the Vancouver Aquarium, but the Vancouver Aquarium's closed down over COVID, so they're really struggling on donations. So right now, like a lot of those organizations could need help. I know there's so many organizations that need help with COVID, but that's just something to keep in mind because, you know, animals still need to be rescued through the pandemic, and there's still people working, like these essential workers rescuing wildlife. So donations really help them. Thank you. How hard would it be to be a wildlife biologist if you have ADD? Now, I can't really speak personally to that. I do know, though, like, being a wildlife biologist can be a stressful job sometimes, and that can make mental health conditions worse. Yeah, it can be difficult. Maybe I'll talk more about mental health in my 10 Things You Don't Know About Me video for my 30,000 subscriber video that I was talking about, but it can be really tough to manage those. I think like employers definitely do have, like you have those, you know, I won't speak to specific laws around being disabled and what's considered a disability depending on where you are in the world, but always keep in mind that there's a lot of protections around mental health too, and job security that's actually like written in law, and never be afraid to ask for those accommodations. There's certainly like companies that will inadvertently punish you for asking for accommodations, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Those are what that's there for. I feel like this is starting to become like a labor rights stream. It's because I'm reading this book about your labor and your value and like in capitalism. So maybe that's going off topic, but that's just something I want to throw in there when it comes to dealing with disabilities in this field. Mental stresses on the job. Yeah, seriously. I mean, actually, you know what? I did talk about that already in my, I talked about my college experience. I don't know if any of you guys saw that video. Oh, about what it was like for me to go to college. I dealt with so much that didn't make my college experience simple and severely impacted my mental health, and still does to this day. Just the trauma and stuff like that still pops up. And, you know, I'm not afraid to talk about that, like, on my channel, because when people commented on that video, they were like, I totally identify with this, and I'm going through the same thing, and no one talks about it. So, like, I'm shocked at what I was able to do with the situation that I was handed. So, yeah, mental health is real, and it can be a really big struggle with wildlife biology, especially, too, like, when we talk about like people who are wildlife rehabilitators and responders who deal with wildlife, seeing dead wildlife, that has a mental toll. And we talk about like disaster responders. Of course, like human disasters are very traumatic, but so can dealing with injured wildlife. Someone's asking the book I referenced. Sorry, there's a book I've just started reading. It's called Can't Even by Anne Helen Peterson. It's also, I have it on my Goodreads. I'm really enjoying it so far, and it's about millennials in the labor market and how there's so much of what we've been taught growing up about passion jobs was like designed to get free labor out of us, basically. I think it's really good, at least, and I resonate a lot with it, so I'd recommend that one. It's not about wildlife jobs specifically, it's just about like young people entering the job market. And I mentioned earlier, like realizing you're a laborer, even though it's a job that you're passionate about, and making sure that you advocate for yourself and for the value and the worth of your intellectual labor and your physical labor too, if you're in the field. My throat is starting to hurt from talking so much, so I'm going to throw on another video that I wanted to do. Let's see, let me set this up. I have another one here. Let me just put it up on the screen really quick.
Ambassadors. Hi, I'm Kelly Vandenheuvel, and I have with me Denali, the red-tailed hawk, today. I've been a volunteer rehabber and educator with Pacific Wildlife Care since 1984, and Denali has lived with me for the past 9 years. He came to me as a baby, and red-tailed hawks are very common in this area on the Central Coast and throughout North America. Their range is from Alaska all the way down to South America, and they are very common throughout the United States, as I mentioned. So they are the largest hawk you will find in the area. There are migratory hawks that are larger that you will see, but the red-tailed hawk is indeed the largest that we have locally that lives here. Denali is a male, so he is about 2.5 pounds, maybe 2.25 pounds, 30% smaller than the female red-tailed hawks. So he's a big bird, but not as big as the females get. And as you can tell, the red-tailed hawks, like most birds of prey and birds in general, blend in with their environment, and so they camouflage well. So here on the Central Coast, these colors, this bird was in the wild. He blends in with the trees and the landscape, and it makes them less a victim, to other birds of prey or other predators.
Hi, my name is Tara Galanti, and I'm also on the educational team here at Pacific Wildlife Care. And I have with me here Pip. Pip is an American kestrel. He is also a male, and you can see there's quite a bit of difference in size between the two. Pip is a falcon as opposed to a hawk. A lot of times people don't realize that there is a difference between the two, and they're different in several ways. For one thing, hawks, their talons are quite muscular. That's how they kill their prey, is that the grip of their talons. Whereas with Pip as a falcon, they have a special notch on their beak. So they grab their prey, and then they have a special notch on their beak that breaks their prey's neck very quickly. So that's one of the things that falcons have. And they're very fast, and they have very tapered wings. So whereas a hawk has broad wings for soaring, the falcons have more tapered wings for maneuvering and then diving quickly. So if you see the kestrel, sometimes you can see they'll be flapping in the wind. They'll be just flapping, and they'll just be like it's staying in one place, and then they'll dive down for their prey. So if I do this, you can see the shape of his wing a little bit. So you can see the two different wings together. One of the things that you can discern the male from the female in the kestrel is the gray wings on the back. So females have brown wings, and the male is quite colorful, actually, in terms of like ranges of blacks and browns and grays. And so you can see that the gray wing is on the male. You can also see the markings, which help the reflection of the sun, just like football players put the dark marks on their face when they're playing football. The kestrel has that kind of dark marking on their face.
And we also wanted to mention why we have these birds. So as many people know, Pacific Wildlife Care rehabilitates and releases our birds that come into the center back into the wild. So that is our mission. That's what we do here, is get them back conditioned. If they're sick, if they're orphaned, we teach them to live prey hunt, and we release them to the wild. In rare situations, we come across an animal that cannot be released back into the wild. And that is the case with all of our educational ambassadors. Denali came from the Sacramento area. He was found as a baby, and he has a congenital eye disorder. So physically he's fine, his body, he can fly, but he can't see well enough to hunt. So if he were released, he would not be able to survive. He also has imprinted on people, being around people when he was younger, and so he's pretty, he doesn't have the natural instincts as far as being afraid of people, and that would also be not helpful for him in the wild.
And the reason why we have Pip, when he was young, he was just fledging, and he flew into a window. You know how that happens sometimes. He just flew into a window, he came down, and the family dog caught him and broke his wing. I think that flying into the window broke his wing, but then the dog catching him was not good also. But he survived, he's healthy, but you can see his wing, his left wing kind of sticks out a little bit. That's kind of the sign that his wing was broken, and it is healed. It doesn't hurt, it's healed, but he couldn't maneuver and fly in the wild as he would have to survive. So they need to be super quick and really fast to hunt. So he wouldn't be able to do that.
And the other thing we wanted to touch on today is that most of the animals that come to our care because of man-made causes. So whether, it's a bird that flies into a window, or a domestic animal that gets in a bird, or fishing line, or a barbed wire fence, these are all reasons that these animals come to us. Also, a big important topic right now are rodenticides. And we're finding a lot of birds are being killed by secondary poisoning, which is because people put out poison for rodents, and these birds will eat these rodents that are staggering on the ground because they've been poisoned. They're easy prey, and especially for birds that have recently fledged, they're looking for easy prey. They don't know how to hunt well, and it will oftentimes usually kill the birds.
And it's a very painful, sad death. So if there's any way you can avoid using rodenticide, rat poison, please try anything other than that. So thank you very much and thank you for coming to our show.
That was very cute. And I'm also extremely frustrated because I think I've had my microphone off this entire time. How many times have I done that on my live stream? I'm so annoyed. I have this nice microphone and then this horrific audio because I always forget to turn it on. I don't know if it's better. I'm gonna test it. Oh my god, yeah, now it's better. I'm just replaying my own stream. Okay, that's probably way better now. That's okay, you didn't hear it. You guys who were on the stream earlier heard me scream because there's a windstorm outside and some plant probably just was destroyed on my deck. So you probably missed that on nice audio. So yes, do not use rodenticides. I made a science communication graphic about this. Very cool. Please drop your Instagram page in the comments so we can add you. I give you permission to please promote yourself. Any tips on caring for my fiddle leaf fig? Mine gets full sunlight. This is like a sliding glass door that gets like west facing sun, and it also gets south facing sun from my other window. So it loves sun. So it gets lots of sun. I don't water very often. Once a week if I remember. I honestly it stays on its own there. Oh man, I'm so annoyed about that audio. Well, I'm glad you guys can hear me better now. Yeah. Oh my god, it's so much better. I'm replaying my own stream. It's so much better. One day I'm going to figure out technology, and I honestly am proud of myself for figuring out how to play those videos. That's new for me. And to have this little Pacific Wildlife Care thing. And also, if anyone subscribes, your name says it comes up right here. Let's see. I'm going to throw up a random one so you guys see from earlier today. I think that worked. Yeah, see, I even got a hummingbird gif that comes up if anyone subscribes to my channel. Oh, you already did without permission. I didn't see. Go follow her, everyone. We're proud of you, Christina. You know what? I became a wildlife biologist and a YouTuber because I love wildlife, not because I'm good at technology. So there's that. You must have a green thumb. My plants never die, and I don't know why. You mean your plants always die or they never die? My plants died a lot from the beginning, and you know what? It was not my fault a lot of the time. It was because I did not have enough light. Light is such a deciding factor with growing plants. Sorry, Meat Parmar. I'm extremely bad about answering Instagram DMs. I get like 10 a day. And I emotionally cannot answer every single one. So I'm sorry if I haven't responded. Oh, people already follow Alan Bear Studio. I just got a plant and it literally cannot die. Part of being a plant parent is realizing that sometimes they just die. They just decide they don't want to be in this world and they pass away, and there's nothing you can do about it sometimes. But usually over-loving it can be a problem. Don't water it too much or you'll get fungus gnats like all my plants. Isn't purple hearts like the string of hearts? I don't think it's the tree, right? I've never heard of a purple heart tree. Oh, your plants don't die. Well, that's good. Yeah, like, oh my god, this is so off topic from wildlife, but I watch like movies and people have fiddle leaf figs in dark corners of their house, and I'm like, it's such a pet peeve. I'm like, they're gonna die there. Do not put it in the dark corner. Yeah, no, they need sun. Same with monsteras. I have a really big monstera Swiss cheese plant, and it loves sun. But if you don't have very much sun, get a snake plant. Previously known as Sansevieria, but I think now it's a Dracaena, which Sansevierias should not be placed within the Dracaena genus, but that's not related. Anyway. Oh, join on Twitter. I used to have a Twitter. It still comes up when you search my name sometimes, but it was like not good for my mental health. I would always click on those little like trending things on the side, and then I'd get really angry, so I deleted my Twitter. I'm really not very good at social media. I've almost deleted my Instagram page many times and just done YouTube as my only social media. But I have a lot of people on Instagram, so I have kept it for now. You can certainly talk about me on Twitter without me if you want to say nice things. Oh, good environmental science colleges in Canada. Good question. Check out, there's quite a few. I am more familiar with the ones in the West, but check out University of Victoria, UVic, which is in my city. They have a good environmental program. UBC, University of British Columbia, University of Toronto. McGill, I think, has a pretty good environmental program. One of my friends is studying at Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia. University of Alberta is a good one in Alberta. They're good for applied ecology stuff. I don't check Instagram now. Yeah, sometimes I won't check it for like a week at a time. Oh, this might be the longest I've streamed, 2 hours. I was gonna stop streaming, but then once I started, my microphone started working. Now I got so annoyed that I wanted to stream more to make up for my microphone not working. The people who gave me this microphone, I actually got gifted it like for my YouTube channel by the brand Mayono is what it's called. They're like, oh, you can use it for streaming, you know, and have our microphone. I was like, oh, great. And I forget to turn it on every single stream. And, you know, people are probably watching this like, oh, her audio is awful. Like, what kind of sort of horrible microphone is she using? So I think I've probably given more bad bad coverage of this brand than good. Oh, my cat's trying to eat something. See ya, 1966 Repti dude. Thank you for your donation earlier. It's only 6:30. I know it's only 6:30, but I'm not like a Twitch streamer. I've never streamed for longer than like an hour and a half. But it's for charity. $130. I think actually I read somewhere that Pacific Wildlife Care, their average cost per patient at their organization was $200, but I might have taken that from some other rehabilitation center. But for some reason I have this $200 figure, and so I was thinking like once we raise like $200, that's like saving an animal, literally. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm like hoping before Christmas we can get to $200. I put the $500 on there to inspire people, but even the $200, that would mean we would save one animal, which an entire life that's pretty impressive. Even though it's just one, that's like one animal that might be around that wasn't around before. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast too. It's 6:35 here. You are now our ambassador for environmental stuff. Me? That's pretty cool. Luther, have you ever studied paleontology or mineralogy? No. The most I've done with paleontology is I went to the Drumheller Dinosaur Museum in Alberta. I'm drinking a beer by Driftwood Brewery. I think that's here on Vancouver Island. Yeah, Victoria, BC, local representation. I'm a gamer. I can go all the way to 3 a.m. and wake up at 7 a.m. no problem. Jeez. I used to stay up really late. When I was in college, I would like, this was really sad, but I would stay up so late studying sometimes that like I would go to the library until 3 a.m. and then I would have my lecture at like 7 or 8 a.m. So I would not even drive home because it was an hour drive home to my apartment. So I would like park in the university parking lot and sleep in my car until the next morning. That's so sad. It was so horrible. Or like I used to work at Best Buy when I was in college, and I had to do Black Friday, which is a horrendous holiday. It's not even a holiday, a horrendous practice. And I had to stay up all night, and I would drink so many energy drinks to stay up all night. And when I was working at GameStop, I had to stay up for midnight releases so that everyone can go buy the video games at midnight. See, that was before like digital releases. So people would go to the store at midnight and line up to get the newest video games. So I would have to run the midnight release stuff. Hello, Bhavana. Drinking plus fundraise. Where do I sign up? Right here. I think I had to hit 10,000 subscribers to get the donation live stream feature, and I've been requesting YouTube to add like a bunch of different organizations. So I definitely want to do these more often. Honestly, I should just make all my live streams donation ones. There's no reason not to. So, did I answer what do you think about spiders yet? I like spiders. They're cool. They do a lot for us ecologically. I always take my spiders outside. Can you suggest average ranking colleges? I'm an average student, so I won't get into UBC or University of Toronto. I think University of Alberta isn't super competitive. Royal Roads University in Victoria also has an environmental program, and they're definitely not like, they're like average. What else? University of Saskatchewan and University of Northern British Columbia are some other ones that have like environmental programs that aren't UBC. I mean, UBC is like, I didn't get into UBC either. It's like top of the top, like best school in Canada. One of the best like schools in Canada. So it's very competitive. Yes, UVic. I never applied to UVic. I wish I did. I didn't decide I wanted to come to Victoria until 2015 once I've already moved to Canada. But so I don't know how competitive UVic is, but I don't think they're as competitive as UBC. So definitely give it a try. And UVic has very interesting programs, and Victoria is a very lovely place to live. I should stop talking so much about how great Victoria is, because it's probably going to end up raising my rent eventually, but it's all good. Yeah, spiders keep your house insect free. I let some chill in my house as well. Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I've gotten this one before. I want to apply for a field job, but I don't have my license yet. Will they bother reading my resume? Hope to have it before it starts. So a lot of field jobs require you have your license. I would try to get it if you can. You can certainly apply and see what happens, but most of them do have like a requirement that you have a driver's license, but maybe they'll waive it if you're a good applicant otherwise. You can check out the postings and see which ones don't have that requirement. Be average and you got in. Awesome. I guess that's for be average for high school. Gosh, things are so competitive in the US, like at the US schools. I don't know how anyone gets into like some of these schools nowadays. Like when I went to UCSD, which is like, I think it's a pretty prestigious school. Like it's not like Harvard or Stanford, but like it's well known and well respected. And they rejected me so many times, and I had to get in on a technicality because I was like a local community college student. They had like a transfer admission guarantee where if you got a 3.0, you would get automatic guaranteed entry into UCSD because you were a local student, and they were trying to like give preference to local students that were putting in their time like in community college. But I got in on the last year that they had it, and they had grandfathered me in, and they rejected me, and then I had to call them and be like, no, you actually have to let me in because there's this transfer admission guarantee. So that's the only way that I got in. And it was good. It was a good school. Otherwise, I got into San Diego State. I would have gone there, but it was tough. Like, it's so competitive nowadays to get into school. It's quite absurd. Yeah, UC universities are almost all considered public Ivies. Yeah, I heard that a few times. Definitely Berkeley. Oh my God, Berkeley and UCLA are like definitely that very, very prestigious level. Yeah, I think the transfer admission guarantee still exists, but it was only 3.0 when I was there. And I think now they've raised it. I want to say they've raised the minimum GPA now to like 3.5 or 3.8. And I think I got a 3.0 exactly in community college. Yeah. So I think they've raised it. I think I was the last year that 3.0 students got to go automatically. Hey, Riot. You are welcome. Thank you. Oh, that's exciting. Colgate University in upstate New York. Very cool. It's sad college is so expensive in the States. I heard parents send their kids to Europe or Canada to go to school and it's still cheaper. Canada's, you still have to pay in Canada. It's not like, I think Germany in some places are like actually free tuition. Unfortunately, you still have to pay, but it is cheaper, I think. But it's quickly going up, honestly. Like people still have decent student loan debts in Canada, which is really unfortunate. Yeah, planning to stay in your state. Oh, I could never have gone out of state. Like the prices for out of state college were like 4 times the prices in state. I had to do in state, and I did my first 2 years at community college, which is now free in California, I believe. So it was very minimal cost for community college, but it was still expensive to go to UCSD. I graduated with a lot of student loan debt. I mean, I say a lot. It was probably around 28,000 US, just student loan. I also had credit card debt that was kind of associated with that. So it ended up in Canadian being like almost $50,000, $40,000. I still ended up with a lot of debt that was really hard to pay off. But unfortunately, people are, the tuition rate's going up so high that people are even in more debt than I was in and have less job prospects coming out of like the coronavirus recession. Hey Court, thank you for the $10 to PwC. What does that put us to now? $140 US. It's exciting. Thank you so much for donating. Well, it's fun. I'm glad I'm staying on then. My beer has gone warm, but we're raising money, so it's all good. I was thinking about trying to put on like a video game to play while I was live streaming, but I don't think my computer can handle it. Like those videos were like already stressing my computer out enough. Also, we can always put the possum video back on. Maybe I'll put that one on if I need a little bit of a break to keep going. Yeah, the possum one was cute. If you guys, let me know if you guys saw the possum one or if you didn't see that and want to see it again. Possums are so cute. Oh my God, yeah, international student tuition is absurd how much money it costs. I mean, I get it, I guess, like, international students not paying the same as local students whose families are paying into the tax system or whatever, but still, I am amazed at how much money universities must make off international students in the States, at least, which is unfortunate. People should, have the ability to have affordable education, whether it's at home or internationally. Hey, Alyssa, thank you so much. That's so nice. I love you guys too. I want to see it if you need a break. I didn't see that one. Okay, I'll put that one then on in a second. It's not that long. Yeah, sometimes out of state can be important for people who don't have too many wildlife options in their state. Actually, UCSD, I don't know if it's changed, but when I went there, my major wasn't actually wildlife conservation. They didn't have one. It was environmental systems, ecology, behavior, and evolution, which is a long title. I just say like an ecology degree for simplicity's sake. And it did have animal behavior stuff in there too, and evolution. So it touched on a lot of wildlife, and I took a lot of wildlife courses and a lot of marine biology courses. But yeah, I didn't actually even have like a specific wildlife option to do. Opossums and possums actually are different. A possum without the O, I believe, refers to Australian possums, which are totally different, than Virginia opossum, that species name. Virginia opossum is like that cute one we watched in the video, and they're in North America. And then possum without the O, I believe, is in Australia. I don't know if they're in New Zealand too. I didn't remember that factoid though. Yeah, tuition's twice as much in Canada for international students. Ooh, great question. Bhavana, please introduce some books in environmental science, in inspirational books. So, oh gosh, I don't know where my phone is. I have a Goodreads page. Maybe the best way to find it is search Christina Lynn Goodreads Environmental Science, and I have a full list of a bunch of environmental science books. Just off the top of my head, the best one I've read this year was called Braiding Sweetgrass, and it's about a indigenous botanist who talks about how traditional knowledge can be combined with Western science background, and it's really good. It's a really good story, and it's not a straight up like nonfiction science, like hard science type of thing. She talks about her life too. I just really enjoyed Braiding Sweetgrass. Okay, good questions. Maybe I'll let you guys ask them, and I'm going to put the possum video up and just get a quick drink of water so we can watch that.
Hi, this is Uma, and she is a Virginia opossum, and she's getting close to 2 years old. So opossums are really common in this area, and they're so common everywhere. They're common in like the natural setting, in the suburbs, and even in the city. So most people have at one time or another come into contact with the opossum. They are oftentimes people think that they look a lot like a big rat, but they are not rodents at all. They are North America's only marsupial, and they're pretty special because they are marsupials. So that means that they're like the kangaroo. They have a pouch, and so I'm going to hold her up and see if we can get a shot of her pouch. She's not going to like it, but if you can see on her belly, it's a little round circle, and that's where they carry their babies. So, and I'm giving her grapes right now because.
Tara?
Oh,
How many
yes.
babies do they have?
So they can have up to 13 babies. And what's really interesting is that because they are marsupials, when they're born, they're about the size of your baby fingernail. They're so tiny, their gestation rate time is only 13 days. And then they crawl out of the birth canal and crawl up into the pouch. And so they stay in the pouch until they're old enough they ride on the back of their mother's back when she's just walking around and gathering food. And so oftentimes the babies will fall off the mother's back and the mother won't know about it. She won't notice. And so that's when we get a lot of calls. Springtime is baby season. And so the babies might fall off the mother's back, and they cannot survive on their own. So it's really important that if you see a baby possum to call 543 Wild, because you may think they can survive on their own, but they really can't.
Okay, I have water now. Keep me going. Oh, possums are so cute. Yeah, they're located in Morro Bay, California, which is on my hometown. It's halfway between LA and San Francisco, basically. Fun fact, if you're a gamer, Morro Bay, California is the city that the new game Cyberpunk was based off of. So it's a modern take on Morro Bay. It certainly does not look like that right now. It's a very small town. It's where I grew up. But yeah, I thought that was so funny. I read that Cyberpunk was there. So I just saw Tiger. So I thought my cat was in the stream. So my cat's named Tiger. So I thought Tiger was around somewhere. Oh my god, you guys are all talking about marsupials and Tasmanian tigers. I was trying to follow what people were talking about. Okay, let me go back to some of the questions here. I'll continue to drink my cold beer, I guess. I probably should have gotten some ice. Yeah, braiding sweetgrass is my fave, says Alina. Oh, what colleges do you think are good for a future wildlife biologist on the West Coast? Going back to our college talk. I mean, I certainly liked my school. It didn't have a wildlife program, but I thought its ecology program, I liked it. Though I think though if I was gonna have a complaint about my program is it was quite large class sizes. Like I think that's something to think about is like for the big schools, there are so many people now that go to school that the class sizes are sometimes like huge. Like I had hundreds of people in my lecture classes the first few years at least. Trying to think about, I'm not super familiar with some of the other ones. Check UC Davis. They're not on the coast. They're inland California. They have a really good like veterinary type of school, and not just like vet school, but just like in general wildlife health programs, I guess. And also Humboldt State University is pretty well known for their wildlife and fisheries program. I didn't even know your cat was named Tiger. Yeah. He's over here looking at my hummingbirds. Well, you can't really see the hummingbirds right now because it's dark, but oh, okay, what can I talk about? Stanford? I don't know anything about Stanford's environmental program. I mean, I know they're really well known. I just don't know if they're really well known for wildlife. I'm not sure. Stardew Valley was based on Tacoma, Washington? I didn't know that. That's very cool. I love Stardew Valley. I've streamed Stardew Valley on my Patreon streams before. We should protect our animals. Yes, we should. I agree. Especially our possums. Oh yeah, University of Toronto. So many students. You're literally just a number compared to small town college. Yeah, I felt like that too. Yeah, it can be hard to feel personally connected to care about a class when you're in such a big class. I found that was difficult. I had so much trouble going to my big lecture classes. It did kind of felt like it didn't matter. I'm curious, for people who are watching this stream, I have 31 people on here. Are you guys students or are you like working professionals? Are you high schoolers? Are you in your bachelor's program? Let me know in the chat box. I'm kind of curious what my audience is like. I know I have a lot of high schoolers, like junior, senior year, like last 2 years of high school that watch my channel. I think it's just people start looking at their careers then. And also too, I think like a few first year college students. I'm just waiting till one day my channel gets popular enough that someone recognizes me in real life. That hasn't happened yet, but one day someone will. Actually, that'll be kind of scary maybe when that happens one day. You should say hi to me though if you see me in real life. Sophomore in high school. BA arrives in the mail around March, April. I remember when my degree came in the mail, I looked at that piece of paper and I was like, I paid like almost $100,000 for this piece of paper. It was weird to get it in the mail and actually hold it. Freshman in high school, okay. College freshman, yeah. Yeah, maybe one day I'll work in the field with someone. Every time I'm on video call at work, I turn on my camera and I always wonder if anyone that I'm working with has like, that I haven't met in real life has like seen my channel, but I also kind of don't want that overlap with work in my channel. I like to keep things separate. Junior high. Oh, very cool. I don't know too many junior high students that watch my videos, so that's pretty cool. I think like people were talking earlier about all of the other wildlife YouTubers, like Forrest Galante isn't a wildlife YouTuber, he's just like on TV. But like the Coyote Peterson and stuff. And I feel like there's so many wildlife channels that attract younger audiences, like that actually show the animals, like, and they hold them and stuff. But I feel like maybe once people figure out that they want to do wildlife as their career, then they transition to my channel, and I don't have wildlife to display, to hold and attract views that way. I probably would have a lot more views if I did, but I can still talk about it, I think, and kind of like as people start thinking about what they want to do as a career, kind of give that sort of information. And also the more advanced topics in wildlife biology too. I think there's a lot of advanced things to talk about. Especially when it comes to environmental justice. I mean, that doesn't have to be an advanced subject, but like there's so many deep ways to go into environmentalism beyond like the surface stuff. Christina, answer that, please. Okay, wait. Answer what? How hard is college typically? I mean, that's certainly a good question. Okay, I just saw that Mason Ibrahim donated $5 to PwC. I'm going to say thank you so much for your donation. And then I'm going to answer this question about how hard college is. Thank you so much for everyone who's donated. We're at $145 now. And I'm 2 hours, I'm 2 hours and 20 minutes into the stream. This is the longest I've streamed before. I'm going to keep going though. Okay, let's talk about college and hardness for college. That's a really hard question to answer. I think everyone's experience varies wildly, and it also, your grades that you get in high school most of the time don't translate to how good you're going to do in college. High school is a different ballgame. Like when it comes to college, so many more things come up. Like now you're paying rent most of the time. You have to figure out a way to like support yourself. You're entering the adult world. You're dealing with like so many adult things. I mean, a lot of young people, like certainly myself, dealt with things way too young that we shouldn't have had to deal with. But like when you're an adult, a lot of stuff comes up. And I personally found college was very hard because I didn't have as much time to dedicate to studying. And often, like, in college, you have to study more than in high school sometimes. And so, like, I had less study time than I did in high school. So I struggled to keep up with things and to manage my workload. I think that was the hardest part about college is, like, I felt like I'm a pretty smart person. And when I put my mind to something, I can figure it out if I have enough time. But I just felt like I didn't have enough time in college. And it was really hard to get the motivation to study. I really struggled with self-motivating myself because now you're sometimes not in your parents' house and you don't have like that motivation, like, you know, maybe parents or like teachers telling you to study. In college, you're kind of on your own. You have to motivate yourself, and I guess I wasn't very self-motivated, so I struggled. So I think that was the hardest part about college, honestly. People are talking about Coyote Peterson. I don't really watch Coyote Peterson's videos, honestly, so I can't really comment too much on that. Working professional. Very cool. You do so much, Lena. Oh, kind of the internship conversation Taylor Page brought up again. Yeah, we talked about internships a little bit earlier, but you're right. It can be really hard to find ones that involve biology that are free or paid, as in you get paid to do it. Some of the suggestions I brought up were to check with local organizations that are in your area and check their websites for those. A lot of the international ones, it can be really hard to find a free or paid one. So there are some, but like just check locally first. And also check government. Sometimes they'll offer paid internships. That's what I did. I was a paid intern for government. And research assistants. That was the other one. Look for research assistant jobs, especially seasonal ones you can do during the summer. Like helping a master's or a grad student out. Sometimes they can write, I'm not really sure how it works, but write into the funding like a stipend for someone to help them out. So check those sources out for sure. Just reading your guys' comments here. John Schuberth, college student studying environmental geoscience right now. Love watching your videos. Thank you so much. Third year, Stephanie Saldivar, third year of college, just changed to wildlife degree. Finally changed my major to something I love. Cool. I love hearing those stories. Oh my God, especially when people say like my channel helped them like figure stuff out. That's like pretty crazy, like that I've had that impact on people's lives. Okay, let's scroll back down. Oh, John Schuberth, donate $20 to PwC. Thank you so much for your donation. That's great. So we're up to 165. Okay, how about this, you guys? I'm gonna stream until we get 200. Oh, should I? No, we're not too far away. I think we can do it. I'll stream until we hit 200 because that's one animal saved when we hit $200. That was like I read that statistic that like on average rehabilitation costs $200 for an animal, so it'd be pretty cool to save one tonight. And the $500 goal, I left that up till Christmas just to account for any donations coming in around Christmas. So if we don't hit the $500, that's fine. That was a little bit of a dream goal, but I would be extremely happy if we can go to 200 tonight. Let's do this. I wonder how much this video gets promoted on YouTube outside of the people who are already on here. I don't think that much because I have the little subscriber bell thing on for people subscribing, and I don't think anyone's subscribed on this stream yet, so my little hummingbird gif has not been used. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe and you should come up on the stream with a little alert that I spent like 30 minutes setting up. Oh, wildlife biologist reacts to Coyote Peterson's video. I'd rather react to, I mean, I guess reaction doesn't have to be bad, but I always react to people doing bad things like my Cougars as Pets reaction videos, but that would be kind of fun to do a reaction. Thank you, Gilbert. I'm the only channel that has a bell on. Apologies for people who got a notification earlier. I screwed up on the live stream and it sent a notification out to everyone at noon, and I was extremely annoyed. Like I said, technology, but sorry if you got that, but yeah, bells are good. Class of 800 people, wow. Interesting, Mason. I started to work with a professor using R and GIS, and I'm focusing on food chain lengths. Not exactly what I'm interested in, but it's online work I can do during the pandemic. R and GIS are extremely useful skills that I think you're going to find are going to come very, very in handy with getting jobs in the future. I think I had a video, what to do during the quarantine if you want to build your resume, a while back towards the beginning of the quarantine, and one of them was like learn R and or GIS. You can do that at home. There's a free version of ArcGIS. I think it's called QGIS, that you can learn on. And occasionally there's a student discount for GIS. I'm not sure if R costs money. Found your channel because I needed answers. I wanted to go into natural studies, but didn't want to pour money down a well for something that wasn't possible for me, but now I know it is. Awesome. Thank you for being here. Oh, it showed a hummingbird. Yeah, for the subscription. Maybe I missed it. Maybe people have been subscribing, but it shows a little hummingbird. It's pretty exciting. I wish I could set it up so that when it donates, it shows the hummingbird, but I couldn't figure out how to do that and make it still go to the charity. I talk a lot, but I haven't talked for 2.5 hours. I literally think I'm going to lose my voice. We can do it though. Sorry, that wasn't supposed to be manipulative. Just donate or I'll lose my voice. I was wondering what a wildlife biologist does again. Good question. A wildlife biologist does a lot of different things. Yeah, like the technical side of things, like the scientist side is like really big. And wildlife biologists work in like a variety of different industries. So a lot of people just think like, oh, are wildlife biologists zookeepers or something like that? But wildlife biologists actually can work in governments. They can work in NGOs, nonprofits. They could work at consulting companies. They could work directly for heavy industry to quantify and mitigate against wildlife impacts because of forestry, oil and gas, stuff like that. They can work a lot of different places, really. Rural places, cities. Yeah, there's quite, that's a pretty big topic. There's quite a few. A lot of wildlife biologists find themselves analyzing behaviors of wildlife, population numbers, ecology, and the general like stability of wildlife habitat. And then that information gets inputted into wildlife management plans, species conservation, mitigation, meaning like activities done to prevent harm to wildlife and their habitat. All sorts of different stuff. Anonymous donated $10 to PWC. Thank you so much. Okay, 175. Oh, we're so close. Thank you, Anonymous. What if no one donates anymore because they want you to stay on? Okay, eventually, I'm not going to stay on forever. Eventually, I'm going to have to eat dinner. It's 7-Eleven on the Pacific coast right now. And there's a windstorm, so my power also might go out. That's one of the lovely perks of living on a Pacific island that gets a lot of wind. I might get a power outage. Thank you so much for donating. Everyone donate right now or else Christina will lose her voice and never make videos again. I promise I will make videos again no matter what happens. Do you guys like these live streams? Like the charity ones and stuff? Let me know. Especially now my mic got turned on. It's probably, I imagine, a lot more enjoyable. I know I'm probably harder on myself than anyone else is about tech, but I just kind of want everything to be like perfect for the live streams. And it's definitely not very intuitive, but I enjoy it. I live on an island called Vancouver Island in this town of Victoria, British Columbia. It is the capital city of British Columbia, north of Washington. Is it difficult for wildlife biologists with only a bachelor's to get a job internationally? It's not impossible, but I was talking about it earlier. The hardest thing is getting the visa. So if you can figure out a visa scheme that will work for you, like a working holiday visa, it's certainly possible to get a job internationally with a bachelor's. I've done it, so I know that it's possible. It can be tough though. Sometimes it's also like starting over when you're working internationally and getting, it's not, easy to immigrate anywhere. It's usually quite difficult, honestly. And a lot of people want to work internationally, but it's not realistic for some people because the country that they're from doesn't have a lot of visas available to them in the countries they want to go to, which is unfortunate. I wish, honestly, we had like open borders and we didn't have to worry about this. But my life when I was working internationally, I mean, I guess I still am working internationally. I live here now, but I'm an immigrant from the United States to Canada. My life was visas and permanent residency for a long time. So it's not fun, but it's possible. I hope to have my YouTube channel as big as yours one day. Thank you. I hope to have my channel as big as Markiplier and PewDiePie. Do you guys think that'll ever happen? Do you think there's that many people who want to learn about wildlife biology, environmental justice, and wildlife careers? Maybe. Perhaps. My ultimate goal for my channel, I will be like, I never want for anything again. My channel is reached ultimate success is when I hit 100,000 subscribers. That's going to be like, I have made it when I hit 100. And honestly, I'm extremely close to 30,000. And I've been doing this for 2.5 years or so. And I've gained 20,000 subscribers this year alone. So I think probably by 2022 or 2023, I think I could probably hit 100,000 at the current rate of growth that I'm going, which is a few thousand a month and going up. So I think it's possible. But yeah, good luck with that, Christina. I hope you're talking about the Markiplier one. Yeah, that's not realistic. He has what, like 50 million 50 million subscribers. But if I hit 100,000, I will be happy. I'm happy now, honestly. Like, I shouldn't say that. I'm very happy with the success my channel has had. But I always want more, I guess. Yeah, Mount Baker. I can see Mount Baker, not from my house, but when I go to one of the beaches near me, you can see Baker. Baker's so beautiful. I look at it. I can see Washington from my house, though. That's not like a giveaway of exactly where I live. Like, everyone facing south with a good view can see Washington. But it's pretty cool. I can actually see the Olympics, I think, from my kitchen. Very cool. I won't for long. I live in a small apartment and we have a good view, but I'm trying to buy a house probably in the next few months. So I certainly cannot afford a house with a view, that's for sure. Yeah, my backyard tour is my #1 most viewed video, or my garden tour. That one was weird. The algorithm just picked that one up and it went from like less than 1,000 viewers to like, God, I think it was like almost 200,000 views on that video. I was hoping my tiny house tour video was gonna do the same, because you always see those tiny house tour videos blow up, but who knows? Algorithm is, God knows why it picks up certain videos and why not. You might be as big as Mr. Beast in a few years. Yeah, I won't be quitting my day job anytime soon. I don't think I ever will for YouTube. I think I'll always do YouTube on the side, but you know, you never know. Future Christina, if you're watching this and you're a full-time wildlife YouTuber, you made it. Except, what would I do a wildlife version of Mr. Beast? He gives away all that stuff, right? Like, giving away 100,000 great blue herons if everyone subscribes to my channel. Collabs help. Yeah, that's true, but also, I should do collabs, but I also am scared of reaching out to people. You know, I'm friends with a few big YouTubers. I'm not going to drop any names or anything, but like, I'm friends with a few people who have like in the hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And I could ask them to collab, but I always feel like weird doing that, you know? Like, I just like admire their channels from afar and comment on their videos, and they comment on mine sometimes, but I've never asked for a collab, but I'm sure that would bring in viewers, but I think it's more like I just like the audience. You guys are like, I like the audience that I have, and I get comments of people saying that like, you know, like I helped them decide to go into this field, and you know, we're raising, you know, nearly $200 for wildlife, and so I'm happy doing that. It's a fun hobby for me, that's for sure. I don't want to be like begging for, views or whatever. That's not going to happen. But I appreciate your guys' faith in me. I appreciate your faith that I will be as big as Mr. Beast one day. Is 100,000 subscribers a reasonable goal? I don't know. It seems reasonable to me. Oh, planting trees. That's a good one. I could like plant, how would I plant 1 million trees? I don't know. Those are huge birds. I don't know what anyone would do besides release it. Oh, that's a good idea. Like, if I get 100,000 subscribers, I will release 100 pigeons. So I don't even know how I would do that. I would have to like team up with, maybe Pacific Wildlife Care wants to team up with me, and we raised way more money than just one wildlife saved. We can release 50 oiled herons or something like that. That would be fun. Actually, no, that wouldn't be fun, because then you'd have to get the oiled herons to begin with. I gotta put some more think into this, obviously. Oh, is Bryce Langston Tiny Homes? Is he the one who does? He's like, he's like a Kiwi, I think, and he has curly hair, and he's like really wholesome and excited. I don't know. I love that one. It's like Tiny House, Big. What's it called? I watch that channel all the time, and he's so wholesome and happy, and I love his tiny house tours. I watch that one a lot. Future Mr. Beast. I saved the whole continent of Africa. Seems like he has enough money to do some big things. That's true. Once you hit 100,000, I feel like that's when your videos really start getting pushed out. Please no pigeons. Sorry. I was trying to think of the most achievable animal that I could get 100 of them. Have you watched David Attenborough, A Life on Our Planet? No, I don't think I watched that one. Is that one on Netflix? I don't watch a ton of wildlife documentaries. I wish I did more. Yeah, just collab with PewDiePie. Easy. I can't think of any reason why PewDiePie would collab with a wildlife YouTuber. Maybe if there was like a really popular wildlife game that came out or something. You know who did really well lately? I don't know. She tunes into some of my videos, but if you're on, let me know. Maria C and me did I follow her channel. She's a marine biologist YouTuber, and I think her channel's the most similar to mine, so I'm always kind of watching the directions that she's going for her videos. But she did a let's play of 2 marine biology games, marine ocean themed games, and she's gotten more views on those videos. They totally got picked up, and I was thinking oh, I could do if people want to watch a let's play of a wildlife game, but I don't think my computer is good enough. But I was thinking that could be good. So if anyone has any ideas for wildlife-y games, let me know. I've just been playing Phasmophobia, which is that scary multiplayer game. Make some cool memes. That'll get Pewd's attention. Maybe. I'd rather collab with Markiplier. I have a crush on him. Markiplier, if you're watching this, let's collab. Oh, I shouldn't say actually, though. I have a crush, though, because he has a girlfriend, so it's probably problematic. Oh, I like that. Releasing 100 salmon into the sea. Yeah, for orcas. That could be cool. Oh, man, there's, I say, I don't think I would be, a full-time YouTuber, but if my channel blew up and I could, get enough ad revenue to, I don't know, raise a bunch of salmon and release them. I don't even know if people do that, actually. I don't know if, salmon fisheries do that, I think. I don't know. There's probably some sort of idea I could do of releasing things that I could actually raise, and then, I could, invite all the people in Victoria and Vancouver Island who subscribe to my channel, and then we could all release the animals into the wild. Maybe that's possible. PewDiePie might want to fundraise money. I guess it would be something new, interesting. You know, PewDiePie does review books, so maybe he'll want to review wildlife books and collab with me. You know, if you search wildlife biology, my channel comes up first, so maybe Jacksepticeye would. He did a Earth stream. I love Jacksepticeye, and I also love. I'm revealing my side that I actually really like watching Let's Play videos. I watch them sometimes when I work. My favorite Let's Play or video game streamer that I started watching lately is Jacksepticeye's girlfriend. I think Gab. It's what's her last name? She used to be Gamer Girl Gab, and she does horror game streaming, and I watch her videos all the time, and she's blowing up, and I love her. So I would also collab with her if she wanted to do a wildlife or environmental science type of stream. Maybe one day. Maybe I should just start reaching out to people and asking for collabs. That's a good idea. I collab with people, but usually they're smaller YouTubers than mine, which I think is fun. I feel like it's less scary to do it that way. Have you ever dissected wolves? No, I've dissected cats, house cats, and I've had a cadaver, partially dissected a cadaver in school, human, and also I was supposed to do some wildlife, but I got out of it because I didn't want to do it. So I did a virtual dissection of those. Anonymous donated $5 to PWC. Thank you. Okay, wait. I gotta refresh my donation screen. We're at $180 of. Well, okay. It says 500 on here, but I'm setting it right now to 200 because 200 is one animal saved on average. So I want to save an animal tonight. I need that. We need that. We need to save. It's not on me. Actually didn't. I'll top this up with some of my donations too when I'm off cam. What do we have left? $20 left till we get to 200. Yeah, Gab Smolders, that was her name. Yeah, she's a great streamer. She's the best. Oh, even searching zoologist, your channel comes up first. Very cool. Would you ever collab with me in the future if your channel got big? Of course. I'm probably not going to do too many collabs for a while because I'm pretty busy at work. I'm actually that's why I haven't been posting that much. Things have been absolutely insane. I'm going to be working all through Christmas into the new year without any days off. So in the next year, I'm going to take a big break, and then maybe I'll kick up the uploads a little bit more. I need to take a break though probably around New Year's. I'm going to take a few weeks off, I think. But the thing is, it sucks with YouTube. The algorithm hates you if you take time off. So that's why no YouTubers take time off, or they post a million times before they take time off, because I actually even have been posting less, and the algorithm's been not promoting my content at all lately, which kind of sucks, but whatever. Dissections are gross and sad. Yeah, I don't really like doing dissections. I don't think they're necessary. Personally. That's just how I feel about it. Unless you're going to be a veterinarian, I can see the argument. Or if you're going to be doing things where you specifically need to see the animal physiology and you're have no other options. But also electronic dissections kind of are starting to become a trend. So. Oh yeah, Planet Zoo. What's Shelter? I did stream Planet Zoo a while ago. So far, we have saved 90% of an animal. And I also said too, I'm going to donate the ad revenue on this video. I don't know what it's going to be yet because it takes a while to process, but it's probably just going to be a few bucks. But there's that too. So. Yeah, no, I'm curious about that Shelter game. But yeah, I streamed Planet Zoo. It was really fun. I'm kind of over it for now. Also, it doesn't work on my computer, so I have to use my partner's computer, and he's playing World of Warcraft a lot, and I can't get him away from his computer very often. Play Minecraft. I've played Minecraft before. It's pretty fun. I don't know if yeah. No, I'm sure there's some wildlife games to stream. There's a card game called, what's it called? Wingspan. And I saw Greg's Wildlife streaming it, and I was thinking about buying that, but it's not super, super exciting to watch someone play because it's like a card game. But I was thinking about maybe streaming that at least for my patron lives. Because my patron, so if you guys don't already know, I have a Patreon page, and I do monthly live streams for my patrons. But there's like not very many people in my page. It's like a really small group, so I can't just talk the entire time because I don't get like very many questions. So I stream a game usually. So I usually switch off streaming Planet Zoo. Stardew Valley I used to stream a bit of. I tried streaming The First Tree a few days ago, which is a fox game, but it crashed my computer, so I don't think I could do that again. Jeremy Wade, the fish biologist. No, I don't know who that is. World of Warcraft. Yeah, it sounds like an accurate title. Yeah, people do love those like lawyer plays Among Us. Well, oh, I did play The Long Dark. It's a wildernessy survival game, and I picked that one because there's wolves and like some very inaccurate wildlife behavior. And I streamed that right when I started my channel. I think it's called like Wildlife Biologist Plays The Long Dark, and no one really watched it, but it was fun. That was like the beginning of my channel though. I think I only had less than 1,000 subscribers then, so I should play it again. It's pretty fun. Oh, shelter is when you play a mother badger who guides her cubs to a new home and you have to protect them. That sounds really cute. Oh, I'm going to check that out, actually. That sounds very cute. Maybe I'll play that for the next patron only. Yeah, Subnautica was actually one of the ones I was mentioning, Maria from CME earlier, who did a bunch of them. She did Subnautica, and there was one other one that she did that, like, just blew up and went viral for sure. I should play that, but then is that copying her? But also, I kind of want to play that game. I haven't played Among Us. Long Dark is so fun. Long Dark, when that game came out, I played, I was working in Alberta, and it felt very accurate to my real life. Wildlife Biologist plays GTA. I did play GTA a lot when it came out. It came out when I was in college. It was like 2013. My last year of college. I played a lot of it. It's pretty fun. I love GTA too. Well, no, I love GTA because I was going to school in San Diego and I was in LA all the time. I'm like very familiar with Southern California. I was born in San Diego, and so GTA was very accurate to the locations. Like you could actually go to like real life places in GTA, and I had a lot of fun doing that. Ooh, Shelter 2, same concept with the lynx. That's pretty fun. Lynx are cool. I've seen a lot of lynx. Ever visited India? Would love to meet you if you ever did. I have not visited India, but I would love to one day. I am a big fan of Indian food. If you're on my Discord, we talked about Indian food earlier and all of our favorite Indian food things that were vegan. Very good. Going to Northern Michigan University for a bachelor's in biology and anthropology. I don't know anything about that school. Adriana Ramirez, what do you wish you could have done differently in college? Oh my God, so much. I wish it's hard to look back on what you've already done. Like, there was reasons why I did the things that I did in college, but I really, really wish that I went to my classes more. I skipped way too many lecture classes, and I don't blame myself. I was going through a lot. But I think the reason why I didn't do very well in college is because I just did not go to lecture classes. I did not go to my discussion groups, which was the thing my school had. There was a lot that I didn't do. And I wish I went to school more. I stayed home and skipped out on a lot of my classes, which was not good. I thought I could watch the recorded lectures later and learn, but I did not learn very well with the recorded lectures. Justin Guillon, sorry, I don't know how to say your last name. Just wanted to say you were a big inspiration to my career path. Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and watching my videos. It means a lot. What's your favorite wildlife book? Oh, that's such a good question. Well, I mean, we still, how much money do we have left? 20 bucks left. I still have time to talk about books. So I don't know, like my favorite of all time, but the best wildlife book that I've read this year was Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey. I think that's her last name. It is a fiction book about a ornithologist tracking the last migration of Arctic terns, and it's set in the near future. So it's like a kind of dystopian book about all wildlife is now almost extinct, except for these like very, very few populations. And she is like intent on like witnessing the last migration of these terns. And I'm like getting shivers thinking about that book. It was so emotional, and I feel like I personally related to it because even though I don't live in a arguably, like, okay, not all wildlife species are extinct yet, but I feel like that is what we're coming to, and I feel like that book really captured like the darkness like surrounding that idea, and so I would highly recommend that one. I haven't read that one yet, Gilbert. How long will you be live to? I will be live until I hit $200 donated, which is one animal life saved, and I'm at $180. So whenever I'm in it for the long haul. So until we hit the 200, I'll be going. Thanks to all of the non-violent religions, thoughts, and philosophies that emerged in India, they've perfected the art of vegan, vegetarian foods. Very true, very true. Arctic terns are beautiful birds. Kind of like a dystopian sci-fi book. Sort of. It's like a near future book, but it's not like in space. I don't know. What's the definition of sci-fi? Do you have to be in space? I don't know. I guess so. It's like but it's like a novel. It's, very much about this woman's journey as a wildlife biologist. Is that a game? Alba, a wildlife adventure. It came out this month. You're a wildlife biologist identifying animals, and I think you're trying to protect species on her home island. That sounds pretty cool. I'm going to check that out. Have you read Reason for Hope by Jane Goodall? Oh, I can't remember if that's the one that I read. I think I own that book. I haven't fully read it yet. I think I'm thinking of Harvest for Hope. I think she has another book called Harvest for Hope, which is about food systems and vegetarianism and stuff. I read half that one. It's on my list, though, to read. $20! Edit by G to PWC. Wait, does that mean we hit it? I can't see it on my screen. Wait, hold on. Before I get too excited. I don't know why it's not showing. Let's see. $200. Yes, it's official. Oh, I'm so tired. So, no, you guys. No, she's going to leave. I know, but I need dinner. It's 7:37 here. Thank you guys so much. Literally just like, whoa, computer's being loud. Just tonight, we have technically funded one animal rescue on average. And that includes raccoons and possums and all that. That's pretty freaking cool. I really like the idea of that. I still have the fundraiser up until Christmas, so you can come back to this video and donate. Of course, you can donate directly through them anytime as well, but if you want it tracked on here, I have it up till Christmas. So I have the $500 on there, but I'm extremely happy to reach $200, honestly. That's a pretty amazing goal. And thank you for everyone who donated over the last 3 hours. I'm freaking tired, but this was really fun. It was fun seeing the animal videos from Pacific Wildlife Care. And I'm really excited that YouTube's going to be passing this donation along to Pacific Wildlife Care, and it's because of you guys. So thanks again for all of your help and spending the evening with me. I am unfortunately going to sign off because, yes, it has been 3 hours. Oh, I'm less than 2 minutes away from hitting the 3 hour mark. I'm going to make some dinner. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for supporting my channel, all your nice words, all your questions, all your donations. Hopefully you guys have a great evening, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.